Morning, guys.
This show stinks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for. The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers, you pay. Be a friend, tell a friend something nice could change their life. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to New York City on this Aaron Rodgers Tuesday, December 5th, 2023. This sports program starts right now. Football happened last night in a massive way as a backup for the Bengals beats the Jacksonville Jaguars in their first home Monday Night Football game in 12 years. A devastating blow to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who were in conversations and maybe becoming the team that represents the AFC with the parity on that side of the NFL. And what did Jake Browning say? He said, I'm from Washington and I can spin it. On a historic evening for the quarterback, the Bengals maybe claim that this season isn't completely over and the Jaguars have a lot to figure out. Shout out to Duval for showing up last night. I think the light show and the fireworks and Jax Him DeVille doing a gainer off the top of the stadium to start the entire evening and bring the football down to be kicked off for that game was nothing short of flawless. I do believe that maybe Monday Night Football could have turned up the audio on the crowd a little bit, give them a little bit of a rub because they haven't been on TV in like 12 years in that way. But nonetheless, good game. What happened to Trevor Lawrence at the end? We will certainly dive into that as we go on. What does it look like going ahead for the entire AFC? That'll be the topic of conversation today, as well as Coach Jeff Saturday will join us live in studio. Tim Legler will join us live in studio. Legs is joining us live in studio. CJ Stroud joining us via FaceTime 2:30 Eastern Standard Time on ESPN Plus and on YouTube, and live in this studio. The same one where a lot of things have been said about this man.
Oh, yeah. True.
I think he's called a murderer by people.
Possibly.
Aaron Rodgers will join us live in studio today. We cannot wait for all of that. The boys are here, the Toxic Table, at Boston Connor and at Ty Schmidt. I see the ponies running, Con, man.
Yeah, ponies are running. Because, you know, we've been talking about these primetime games being absolute dog shit all year, which they have been. But this weekend, I mean, we had 3 back-to-back-to-back that were unbelievable. And let's not even think about the possible terrible primetime games coming up. I just can't believe that we got a Jake Browning 350-yard masterclass in Jacksonville in the first time that they've had a Monday Night Football game since 2000.
How about Zach Taylor?
Yeah, unbelievable.
How about Zach Taylor having to do what he had to do? Jamar Chase obviously has a big-time touchdown to showcase himself. Higgins was doing his thing. Joe Mixon's running all over the place. The Bengals said, we heard what you've said about us being dead, and we do not necessarily agree. And I think, Jake, 2018 was the last time he won a game.
Yeah,
so I hope he got to drink it down. I hope he got to suck it in last night because congrats, dude. You're making a name for yourself on a team that is built to go. And on the defensive side, Lou Anarumo got to stop when they need it.
Yeah,
That's the conversation. Got to stop whenever they needed it. I think they'll be able to figure it out. Good for the Bengals. And Con, man, you have a graphic now with what happened with Trevor Lawrence and CJ Beathard, fresh out of Iowa, making an appearance last night. Started out a little bit rocky. Then he goes on to make a couple plays for the Jets. How many quarterbacks now is it?
I believe 50 quarterbacks have started an NFL game so far this season. Yeah, and it will, be 51 once Beat Hard, not Beat Heard, starts next week, presumably for the Jags, because it looked as though Trevor Lawrence's ankle turned left.
That's how Mitch turned sideways.
It was gross.
That was gross. Not cool for Trevor, by the way.
No, brutal.
But 12 of 32 teams right now have a backup starting in Week 14.
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to be a conversation no matter what it is. On the AFC side, it's 9 of them. Okay, that's a lot, which is why the AFC is so wide open. I think if you were to look into it, NFC side, 3 different backup quarterbacks. And obviously, this is taking into account that maybe Derek Carr will miss a game. Because we have seen Wolverine blood in Derek Carr before, where he has seemingly broke his leg on a Thursday.
Completely.
And then on like Monday Night Football, 4 days later, he's playing somehow.
Yep.
He recovers quickly. He had a shoulder, back, and head.
Yeah.
If he's able to come back, we will certainly be impressed. But let's assume he's going to miss at least one game, and Jameis is going to be in there. 12 of 32 with backup quarterbacks as we get into meaningful football. One half of the hammer, Cowboys, tongue digs. That's something we're going to have to take into account whenever we're gambling, pal.
Yeah, you're gonna have to look at the teams where it doesn't matter if the backup quarterback is in or not. Like, if you lose like a like top tier elite guy versus you're going from Kenny Pickett to Maserati Mitch Trubisky. Like some of these backup
You like Mitch?
Maserati.
You like Mitch? Is that what I heard there? Sound like you like him.
I don't know.
Because just if we were to go back in time, that was not the case at all.
The minivan.
I don't know.
Yeah, this guy was called the malpractice Mitch.
Bingo, yeah.
You remember all those things you were saying? Now it's Maserati. Like you're Gus Johnson. What happened?
What's going on here?
I thought any way that we could get Maserati Mitch in there, I'm going to get it in there just like Gus does for Marvin Harrison Jr.
Heisman finalist.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't know how you guys took that. I love Mitch there coming out. I mean, I love him.
Oh, so you hate Kenny then?
No. I'm just saying, I don't know if the drop off is significant.
Okay, so let's talk about having a good backup quarterback. It's why the Indianapolis Colts are where they are. Jake Browning last night, I think, surprised us all. D-Bud, 9-year NFL vet, host of Everything DB and the Man to Man podcast. Incredibly clean onesie here.
Wow.
Incredibly clean onesie. What's that?
We got some space.
I get it, but if you tucked it, you
It's not a romper.
You look fantastic. You look fantastic. You had the Jags minus 10 last night at home against the Bengals. I think a lot of people did. I seemingly only took the Bengals plus 10 because I had to, because the standings. And AJ, Cincinnati Bengal legend, he even went with the Jags. Nobody expected old Browning to do what he did last night. What did you see from him?
I mean, he played a hell of a game with 90%, 350 in the air. That's something we haven't seen from somebody non-drafted. But he was a dog, from the beginning to end. Well-played game. Obviously, needed him from wire to wire to get it down to OT. Jamar Chase had a huge game. Was targeting him early. Wasn't going down the field much early, but then got more comfortable as the game went on. So hats off to Zach Taylor. Getting him ready for his second start now and take his team all the way to the white. Look at this Chase play was incredible, but it was
I like him dancing going in the end zone, and then obviously bust out to Gritty and Chase. We know he's the number one. But you lose your quarterback, all of a sudden you're staring down a much different season.
T. Higgins got back out there too. He made some plays.
And he was awesome. He said that he knew that Jake was going to be a guy going into the week. I think he reiterated that in an interview afterwards. He's like, the moxie, the confidence that he showed was something that we were all incredibly impressed by. Are the Bengals back?
I mean, AFC, we saw the war of attrition with those quarterbacks over there, so they definitely got a shot. And you got to expect that loop. That defense definitely got to pick it up and make some plays. You would think that would be the strength of this team right now, especially with the backup quarterback. They definitely have to get in there and make some plays to be better. They got a shot. AFC's still wide open.
Are we out on Jacksonville, Tone, or what?
I mean, we got to figure out what Trevor's injury. I mean, CJ,
Look bad.
obviously a Hawkeye.
You got a guy. I mean, listen, I hope Trevor's not out for an extended period of
That
time.
looked bad.
And it looked very bad. He
He
slams his
lose that
helmet.
game last night, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, CJ did everything he could, Yeah, he
Oh,
fumbled
no,
the first
no,
down.
no, no.
You're at home.
Look, what did he do right after that, though? Boom. Marched him right down the field, kick a field goal, let's get into overtime. And then, they couldn't get it done, but he's a player. I mean, he's a game manager. He's not going to go out there and poop the bed like some of these guys might do. Now, would you rather have Trevor Lawrence going into the playoffs?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's how we're going to have to just view the AFC, I think. Who has their starters?
Yes, exactly.
That's
And they lost Christian Kirk last night.
First play. What was that? Did they describe what that was?
Groin.
Yeah, but what?
They didn't say exactly what.
Because that looked like a pretty standard football move.
Yeah.
Just kind of turning and falling. What was his over-under? 50 yards? And your bet?
Oh, that's what I had him at. He had half of it on the first play went out, but hey, that's football, baby. I hope he bounces back, man. But tough injury. He's their yards leader. It's weird. Jacksonville, Ingram reception leader, Kirk's the yards leader, and Ridley leads them in touchdown reception. So they spread the wealth.
Etienne's a beast too. And I respect Doug Peterson. I feel like he'll have it figured out. Speaking of somebody that I respect, somebody's just walked in the studio that we need to join us. I was very lucky to watch this man be a leader whenever he was a teammate of mine for a few years. Then I got an opportunity to watch him on TV. Boy, this handsome man brought the juice and the energy. And then last year, guess what we get to see him do? Be a head coach in the NFL.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Had he ever coached in the NFL before? Absolutely not. He's a head coach, though. He's our coach. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Jeff Saturday. Thank you, big dog.
I took all your bets, and some of them hurt me.
It'd be like that
No.
sometimes.
Jeff, are you do you get into the gambling at all now that you're no longer a coach in the NFL?
Just a touch. I dabble. I mean, I went with. I thought I was going to ride with him in my, all my picks got hurt first quarter. I hit everything else.
Yeah, that's
That
the
was
problem with
parlay
sports.
it.
That's how they get you, man.
That is. It is 3 out of 4.
Let's talk about last night's game, Jeff. Let's go in. Jake Browning does something that nobody really could have fathomed that he was. They were 10-point dogs last
Yeah.
night because of him being the quarterback.
That's
Going into Jacksonville, hasn't had a Monday Night Football game in 12 years. Can't lose that one. Obviously, then we also lose Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk. All things wrong for Jacksonville last night, even though we love their team. Do you believe in this Bengals team now with Browning, especially with the AFC with the way it's looking right now?
I do not.
Okay.
I wish I could. Here's my thing last night, right? Like, if you're Jacksonville, I mean, one dude is not going to beat. I'm just going to say it right now. Like, if there's, and listen, you've done a lot of defense in your life,
Yep.
man. If there's going to be one dude who you're not going to let beat you,
Smart chicks.
he's not going to be the guy. $150, like he had a 70s plus yard and a
Oh, yeah.
60 plus yard dude.
Oh, yeah.
150 yards coming out of one dude. Like, at some point, you just got to go, hey, man, circle the wagons. We're going to cover him. Let Higgins beat us. Let's mix and let somebody beat us. But don't let that guy beat us, especially with a quarterback who isn't as seasoned as you would like. The kid played lights out. I'm not taking any away from the QB.
Spinning it. Jeff.
Listen, Mixon played good. Like, they played good. But, man, that guy's not going to be the guy to beat me. And that was a part that was disappointing to me. And also, after Trevor gets hurt, you missed a field goal. You can't do that either. Like, that was brutal. There was just too many mistakes from Jacksonville's side. The hard part for
McManus
me
came
is,
back and made one, by the way. McManus came back.
yeah, he did. The one that didn't matter nearly as much. But that's where we are, right?
On one end,
They all matter. They all matter. But
yeah, obviously.
it was a painful loss if you're Jacksonville. But from the Bengals side, from an offensive perspective, I don't know that they have those type of production nights.
All right. So I hear what you say there with the whole, we're not going to let this one guy beat us. And that's like, I think that's football conversation. I think it's TV conversation. Let's talk about you being head coach.
Yes.
Haven't got a chance to really chat
Yeah.
with you about being head
Yeah.
coach. So everything I had heard about that building was potentially that it was in ruins. Okay, whenever you were brought in there.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of simpatico family in that building.
Yes.
And I asked immediately, like, how's Jeff doing? How's Jeff doing in there? And a lot of people, I'm not going to say exactly who it was, but a lot of people in that building had the same message. It was like, our culture has completely gone to hell. There's people late for meetings. There's people missing treatment. There's guys gambling against the Indianapolis Colts who are actually on the team. And it was like the building just kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
So Jeff is coming in here, and he's going to be a guy who's just going to have to take it on the shins from everybody as he has to reinstate what a professional football team looks like. Is that an accurate depiction of what you had to do? And your first day in there,
Yeah.
were you caught off guard completely about what you were walking into?
It was more than I anticipated. I'll put it like that. I'll church it up a little bit. And there was a lot of what you're saying that was going on. So it was, but I think Irsay knew that. So like I will say, I think Irsay, I think they knew kind of where the situation was, kind of how it had gotten a bit off the rails, and kind of what it needed to look like for it to get back to what they envisioned. I knew going in. My conversation with Jim was, we're gonna go 0-8. Like, just recognize we are.
No shot.
Yeah, no. First of all, you just got rid of all of your offensive staff, right? Like so. Just put that aside. We're gonna walk in this room.
Parks Frazier's calling plays.
Yeah, we have a
He's
30-year-old
24.
who hasn't had a room, right? Like, he's never been in charge of a room yet. And I love Park. Great kid.
Great guy.
Great
Love
kid.
him.
Great kid. No.
Sweet
I'm
boy.
being real. And a good football guy. But,
Yeah, you love him.
but he had never had his own room yet, which means for those out there, that he had never been like the quarterback's coach or the receivers coach or whatever, where you're sitting in front of a room every day. So I knew we were going to have offensive challenges. We had a quarterback they weren't sure of, right? So there was a lot going in. My job when I went in was, there were two things I knew. I wanted to make sure the culture was going to get back to where it was when I was there and when you guys had seen it with productivity. And the other thing was, from the offensive line perspective, like, stop the nonsense, stop the noise. We need to get these guys back playing together. They're going to have bumps. They're going to have bruises. It's not always going to be pretty. But we got to get if the team wants to go anywhere, they put enough assets in those five. They got a ball.
Three guys getting paid more than you ever made there.
Oh my word! Different money.
You're in the Ring of Honor.
Oh.
This guy's in the Ring of Honor.
Different money. They got different rings, like all kind of rings they can afford. But it was definitely a challenge. But again, I never looked at it the way I think the outside looked at it. I knew what I was getting in for, and I knew what it was gonna. There'd be a lot of like you said, beatings, press wise, whatever it was, fan wise. But I was glad to take the opportunity to do it.
I was going to bat for you as much as I possibly could, just because.
When you don't win, it's hard to go to bat, bro.
Well, I
That
get
first one, though. That first one. Ooh.
Yeah, just beat the Raiders. Here we go.
Oh, yeah, the Raiders.
We had a good time. I was pumped for you.
Yeah.
I got pretty loud after that.
Oh, yeah.
Had to kind of just.
You gotta get this.
This is not bringing it up. Connor has a question for you.
Yeah, Coach. So obviously, when you get hired, some people were, talking about how they were pissed. Other guys deserve it, all that bullshit, right? How did you deal with that? Because it's not like you were saying, "Hey, that guy shouldn't be the head coach. I should be the head coach."
Absolutely.
You were reached out to be the head coach, and then you kind of got buried because of the fact that you never coached before.
Right.
Like, what was your reaction to that? And did you tell anybody, like, "Hey, go yourself" or anything like that? Or no?
Nah, so
Good discipline.
Yeah,
there's
yes,
not-
I will say this. My biggest concern when I walked in was the coaches, like making sure. And the first meeting I ever had with these guys, hey, man, I ain't trying to pretend like I know nearly as much as you guys know about whatever position you're coaching, whatever. My job is to help you be the best at whatever. So whether it's Gus Bradley, whether it's Parks Frazier, you just looked throughout the whole building and said, what can I do to help you guys, right? And so I think everybody understood that there's a level of humility. I wasn't trying to be like, hey, man, I have all the answers right here. We're going to walk in. We're going to correct all these problems. And I think I was for those guys, it was good because they knew I wasn't the one I wasn't beating on the desk for myself. Right?
Yeah.
I was like, hey, man, what can I do to help fix whatever problems? Listen, they knew. They're going to have to start playing young players. You think our defense want to go play? I mean, we sat a lot of good players to play some young guys who are now playing really good. But you think Gus wanted that?
Exactly.
His resume.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're sitting on that. But let me tell you, if I get down on that hill for him, I'm glad to do it because he's a freaking great DC. The guy understands ball. He gets people ready to go. That was my role, right? And so that's just what you do, man. I didn't sweat all the. Man, listen, I've forgotten more football than everybody who's making fun of me has ever thought, right? And so I ain't sweating it even a little bit. Like these dudes, off the couch blasting me, I get it, man. I wasn't your pick, but I will say this too, from Jim's perspective and Chris's perspective. I think, Gus and his whole staff was brand new. Right, they had just fired the two play callers on offense. Like when you looked at the staff as a whole, there wasn't a lot of places they wanted to go, because they're going to have to look at this and revisit it at the end of the season. So it was an easy, come in, do your 8 weeks, and get out, right? And so,
Did you want the job?
I wanted it under condition.
Because when I heard you wanted the job, I'm like, Jeff.
Yeah, I'll say this.
Hey, coach, only 32 of those. That's
I
hard,
get
man.
it. I get it. But
And I will say this. The lifestyle part for me
that's what I'm
was
saying.
the biggest, and that part when Chris and I sat down, that was the biggest. That is the biggest issue, right? Like I will tell you very frankly, I ain't gonna be there from 5 a.m. to midnight. I'm gonna let y'all know, bro. I'm gonna eat dinner with the family. And I have that Bruce Arians, Tony Dungy mentality, bro. Like we'll go do it, but I ain't, I ain't living it. Like I'm good, right?
Yeah.
Like and Jim knew that as well. Jim and he's like, hey man, if you want to do this thing, let's interview at the end, see what happens. And it was a great experience. Like I tell people, I had to write I got Jim Caldwell, Tony, I got all these guys. I wrote a 200-page
manifesto.
Yeah, dude, about, hey, this is what you would do with your program. Here's the type of players
To Jim?
No, to Chris, to Ballard. When you're presenting to Ballard and as they were going, and obviously we'll go to Jim later, but as you're going through that, there was exercises that I went through that were phenomenal. As a leader, what do you want? What type of staff do you want? Who would you keep? Who wouldn't you keep? Player-wise, who do you like? Which direction you want to head? There is and I will say this, man, it gave me a completely different perspective for coaches. These dudes, man, they take a lot of shells.
Love
man.
ball.
Yeah. Love ball.
Love ball.
Love some ball. Live it, breathe it, die, the whole deal. I mean, when I tell you there are some dudes on staff who have been doing this a long time, man, and ain't seen a kid play a sport. I'm like,
that's tough.
I'm like, nah.
That's just kind of the requirement, the expectation. It doesn't make any sense. That's why most former players you hear from, it's like, nah, I'm not born to be a coach.
Yeah. Especially ones on TV and radio.
Yes. We're not born to do it ever. Debo has a question for you.
Yeah, I saw you throw some pancakes at Fox earlier on the set, and now we got AQ who shines a light and shows the guys in the trenches a ton. Connor mentioned 50 quarterbacks that started the game this year. What are some of these offensive lines? And obviously, when you get the backup quarterback, the offensive line, I think, becomes even more important. What are some of these offensive lines around the league who don't get enough credit you think can make a run?
Oh,
And do offensive lines stink now?
offensive lines have taken a step back, but I will say because of what is being coached. Like we coach so much more scheme specific now than we ever did, right? Like when I was playing, it was much more about fundamentals, techniques.
Yeah,
This
it's
will
football.
translate. Yeah, it'll translate to whatever it is, right? Yeah, it'll go hands in the dirt, right? All those kind of things. Now it is much more about specific, scheme. Whether it's Mike McDaniel, whether it's Shanahan, whether it's so you look at those two teams. Their offensive line, although they have to be good, I'm not trying to minimize but they don't have to be like Philly's offensive line. Like Philly's offensive line has to be cut from a different mold than those guys because of what they asked to do, right? And so as you're looking at the way that teams are judged, especially offensive line-wise, it makes complete sense for certain ones like Carolina's offensive line. A lot's going to be asked of them to protect Bryce Young, right? Like,
I guess they're not doing a lot
they
of
went out
that.
just say it didn't work out right? So it's those kinds of things. I will tell you an underrated offensive line, Buffalo Bills. They get blasted all the time about not being able to run it, about not being able to do whatever they're doing. These guys are a good group. They can make it happen. The Colts offensive line doesn't get nearly enough love, right? Like these guys have played lights out.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they have played lights out this season.
Hey, we're in it.
Oh man, they in it. They got some steering power,
Hey,
bro.
Gardner Minshew, too.
Lightning mania.
Football player.
Minshew mania.
Running wild, brother.
Bro,
I got to meet him at the training camp or whatever. And, a couple years back, he was all over the internet. He had living in his RV, making videos. He was in commercials because he's this lightning rod of a character. I'm like, hey, you've kind of disappeared from here. His eyes won't play ball. Like I think he got a chance to experience all that. And was like, this is not.
Yeah,
I just want to play ball, and he knows that he doesn't have forever.
Right.
So he's like, I just want to enjoy every single moment. And even though Anthony Richardson was there, all the teammates were like, Gardner's been a great asset to this building as a leader and everything. And now that he has the opportunity, it's not always perfect.
No.
Boy, there are some bad decisions made
Sure.
in the Gardner Minshew experience.
Absolutely.
But at the end, we're in it.
Yeah.
And Shane Steichen, I don't know if you got to meet him. Shane Steichen, this guy had to deal with Jonathan Taylor not wanting to be there.
Oh, bro.
And now he's there. He's had to deal with the number 5 or 4 overall pick getting hurt in 4 out of 5 games.
Yes.
And then losing him, and now Gardner Minshew's in here. Alec Pierce just scored his first touchdown. He's a first-round draft pick last year.
Yeah.
So it's like the things that they've had to go through to get to this point is insane to think about.
Bro, first of all, Steichen is a freaking stud.
Dog.
And got some brass cojones, bro. Like, this dude drops them out there.
All the time.
And continually makes, like, good calls. Like, I got a ton of respect for what this guy's doing. I will say this. I got a ton of friends who still live in Indy, right? Every one I get is about Minshew mania. I mean, these dudes are fanatic. They want the jorts, they want the cutoffs, bro. They want the whole, the whole deal, man. They have bought into this guy. And to your point, like there's something electric that's going on with Indy, and you saw them, man. They just put one in front of another. They keep finding ways to win. The defense finds a way. Offense finds a way. Special teams blocking 2 points.
Stonehouse had to have surgery on his knee. T's and P's to that, pal. We hope you come back. That looked terrible.
It did look
A couple of your former teammates, too, done a hell of a job on that staff.
Reggie?
Receivers, Cato Jr., and there with the linebackers. My boy Mike Mitchell, and there with the secondary.
By the way,
good job with Shane, keeping those guys on the staff, holding them over.
All 3 of those guys that you talked about are difference makers, right? I mean, like Cato, Mike, those dudes. Mike got a different. He got a different mentality.
Oh yeah,
that dude's for real.
Oh yeah,
that's a dog for real. I mean, I'm telling you, he is. Listen, he is not about the new rules of ball. However y'all want to take that, he don't care about the new rules. Bro. It's about decleating folks, right? Cato,
him and Reggie being on this, I like that.
And Reggie, Reggie.
Yeah.
Like he is. I mean, that dude is for real. And he got Pierce balling. He got Josh Downs making. These dudes have, Pittman. But he was already. But I'm talking about these dudes. He is. Josh. I think Josh Downs' impact to me has been undervalued and underrated because this guy in the middle is opening up everything for everybody.
Did you see him in training camp?
Beast.
No. Couldn't catch a ball.
Oh, you talking about Josh?
Yeah, Josh Downs. Training camp. He was in preseason games. I think he had like 5 drops right in front of my eyes in his preseason game. I'm like, this poor guy.
But then
then as soon as the game started for real, it was like diving catches.
Phil-
I'm like, he's my favorite guy on the team all of a
That's
sudden.
so my son went to school with him at Carolina, right? So my son walked on at Carolina as a receiver. Downs is from my area in Atlanta. And let me just tell you, dude, like my son, first week he's playing, he's like, this is the smartest
Yes.
receiver I have ever been. He's like, Dad, when the ball is snapped, this dude is getting vertical and he sees every rotation and he makes play after play. He's like, this dude is ahead of the coaches. This dude knows ball. I remember telling Ballard last year we were talking about. This guy is an absolute beast, and he's
Okay,
a
so
little
you got
guy.
drafted.
He's a
We're
little,
thankful
he's
for
a
that.
small guy.
Look at you, your final gift. Hey, thank you. You made me be scout.
And scout.
Hey, maybe you're on GM.
Yes.
You're on GM somewhere.
Chris puts his hours in too now.
Caleb Downs. This is
Oh,
his brother.
little brother.
That's
Yeah.
his little brother.
Starting at Bama, roll
I
tide,
didn't-
freshman.
They're saying he's
sorry.
Hall of Famer.
bro. Roll tide.
So, do you remember
We can't say that
Big
to
Chat?
they'll attack you.
You remember Big Chat?
ESPN.
Josh Chapman. You might not have been there.
No, yeah.
Josh Chapman, next regime, D tackle from Alabama. I think he was a captain for Alabama as a sophomore
Oh,
or as a junior.
Yeah.
Multiple time national champion. He's beloved down there.
Yeah.
Reason why he's beloved. Classic D tackle. We're talking like 370,
Oh.
Southern accent, like
I like
incredibly infectious personality.
Yep.
Great cook. We're talking about he's cooking an entire grocery store just because it's a Wednesday. Like he,
375, he might have to.
he's awesome. His locker was right next to mine, so like I grew very tight with it. He is the man. We go down to Alabama
Yeah.
to do the simulcast or whatever. See him. He's now part of the strength staff or something.
Yeah.
I think Coach Saban's just want this guy in the building.
Yeah.
He's the guy we
He's
just
the guy.
want in the building for whatever it is. He comes over to chat with us. We dap him up. We're like, "What's up?" And we go, "Hey, who's somebody that we should know about?" And he goes, "We got a safety boy, best ever." And I'm like, "What?" He said, "Gold jacket." Haven't even seen him do anything. He's got some gold
Yeah,
jacket.
this was
And I
second
said,
game of the year.
He said, "Caleb Downs, this boy different." And I'm like, "What's different?" He said, "Ever. He different. He's a true freshman."
Yes.
And he's leading them in tackles.
Yeah.
He's calling out checks too. He's reading plays. He blew something up in the Georgia game. That was like he saw it beforehand.
Yeah.
That Downs family's for real.
Oh, bro.
And
Pops is a coach.
Josh has been a hero for the Colts.
Yeah.
I mean, to your point, he has been a
Ain't
hero
no
for
doubt.
us.
Dad is a coach. Caleb won the state in my area last year. This kid, whatever you needed him to do, you want him to run it, you want to play defense, you want him to return punt, you want him to kick it, whatever he can do, dude is the
And
best. Will smoke you.
Yes.
Smoke you, bro. Hey, puts this part on you. It's not afraid.
You're talking
at
about that
all.
Mike Mitchell. Like, that is seemingly
you.
how they talked about this guy. He's
Yeah.
a true freshman. It's like, of
Yeah.
course, Saban.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
obviously.
That's why they put him in the college football playoffs.
Bingo.
That's why they put him in there.
FSU.
Ty has a question for you, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff, you were talking about Carolina's offensive line a little bit, and your situation with the Colts was a little bit different, obviously, because you had the previous relationship with Jim, and you kind of, it sounds like you knew all the expectations,
Sure.
laid everything on the table when you got in there. But when you look at the situation right now in Carolina, do you think they need to hire an established head? Like, can a first-time head coach go in there knowing what we know about Tepper, where, he's calling him to the carpet every Monday, he wants to be super involved with everything, like, based on your experiences,
What's
like,
your-
This sounds exhausting.
Yeah,
It just
how-
Did
does
you
that
see
work?
Frank?
Exhausting.
Did you see Frank?
He looks
He
exhausted.
was
Yeah,
exhausted.
He's exhausted, bro. You're
was like-
fighting fires everywhere, dude, including your owner. Like, your owner walks up and dropping F-bombs in front of the media. Like, that does not help you. That's not helping anybody. I would say yes. I would say, in fact, this. I would say getting an offensive-driven guy, similar to what the Colts just did, right? Go get a dude who you have seen run an offense similar to what you want, right? And let him go run with it. And understanding that this is what it's going to require. Now, I will say this about him. Like, the Colts had a much better roster than what the
O-line
Panthers had.
specifically.
Exactly. O-line specific, but I mean, you looked at them in like they, whether it's Pittman, I mean, you had Pierce they had just drafted, like they had dudes in the building on defense. At the point they had Shaq, they had Zaire, they had EJ Speed, like they had Buck in the middle. So they had guys.
Buck. That's cool.
The issue from the Panthers is they're devoid in a lot of areas. So whoever they're going to get, like Tepper's going to have to pump down, and like you're not there. You're not at the point where you're going to go win 10 games, right? Like 5 games is going to have to be good, right? And so unless you just invest a bunch of money, bring a bunch of dudes in right away, it just they don't got that gear yet. You know what I mean?
There's something. And what I will say is I'm very thankful that Tepper's an owner in the NFL.
Yes.
He's just chirping.
All the time.
He's just chirping. Now, another owner also seemingly back in his bag,
Mm-hmm.
both on Twitter,
Oh,
and
yeah.
at press conferences.
Big time.
How do you feel about the state of Jim Irsay lately? Both of us know him very well.
Very well.
Very well.
Yes.
And obviously, you were the first call that he made whenever he was looking for somebody to be a head coach in the middle of the season when it's going terrible. So you're very tight with him. I believe me and Jim also pretty tight, as tight as you could possibly be. And I'm just kind of watching him live his life right now. Feels like he has gotten to the point where he looks in a mirror. He said this at the last owners meeting. They were going through all the owners' photos from all the meetings. And he is in the most amount of photos.
That's right.
So he's the longest tenured owner.
Yeah.
And there was like something that switched in his head where he was like, "This is my league."
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of
100%.
almost how he started operating. How do you feel about owners in the modern day right now? Jim Irsay, Tepper, others, Josh Harris, Magic Johnson.
Mark Davis.
I mean, it's like becoming a thing. Mark Davis is awesome. Mark Davis is awesome. But how do you feel about that as a
I'm
whole?
gonna put them all on different levels. I
Yeah.
would say this about Jim because I do have a personal relationship. Obviously, I like Jim. You knew something changed in him with the whole Dan Snyder thing.
Yes.
You remember, like, he walks out, and I guess, like, the
He
whole
was the
thing
voice.
was, yeah, we're going to be mom. Nobody's going to say it. Dude walks out, is like,
Excuse me. I got something to say.
let's do this. I got no fear. He hires me. I mean, like, the dude, he got no fear, right? He's just like, hey, man, I'm on a different level right now. What y'all going to do to me? He just has a no-gas principle right now going on in his life. And so when he goes through it, I think, it's good for our game when owners care, right? Like you want
Agreed.
ownership to care about the game. You don't want like the guy who's got 12 businesses and this is just one of it, right?
Collecting money.
Yeah, you want them to actually care. Now, do they all make the right decisions? No, but there is a level of respect from players when your owner knows who you are, cheers you on. And I would say that's the part of I know about Jim that I don't know about other owners. I don't know Mark Davis well enough to know if he's that guy, but man,
He's that guy.
he is. Yeah, so he loves his guy, right? He got AP in there, and he's like, hey, I'm going to love on my – like, though, that matters, man. When you're finally done with the game, dude, you don't want your owner to be like, hey, I don't even know that guy. Like,
In businesses, it matters.
Yeah.
You know, if the person at the top knows the people that are working,
Yes.
they're going to operate a little bit differently.
Exactly.
But whenever the people at the top are making decisions that are affecting everybody's lives, have no tie to the day-to-day, I think people care. Now, with that being said, we do not agree with Jim Irsay tweeting Kimberly Martin and Stephen A.
No.
Hey,
lawsuit.
those are his opinions.
Yes.
Right.
Those are his opinions in that whole thing.
Yeah, I'm not getting all
And,
that. Yeah.
and he is a billionaire who is not scared.
No.
And I mean, you're just gonna have to charge it to the game. But I appreciate the way they responded to it all. Let's talk about the Raiders a little bit with Antonio Pierce getting out. They're saying 7 to 10 jobs are gonna be open.
For sure.
7 to 10 jobs are gonna
Because
be open.
expectations, dude. It's silly. Like, I mean, I think people think, like, when you look at a season, y'all know this, man. You look at the season, when you start the year, you look, there's 6 teams. Every year you'll go, they got a real shot. Sure. I mean, like we put on the Colts, every year we thought, okay, we have a shot at this thing, right? Not every team woke up that year and goes, hey, we got it. They may lie to you and be like, oh, yeah, we got a shot, right? And then they go 3 and whatever, right? But you look at these teams and realize, but owners have this expectation that
Fans,
it's
too.
going to be like Houston. I mean, you're like, that is a freakazoid right now. Like, I cannot believe that how good they have gotten as quickly as they have gotten. But that's like the needle in the haystack, man. It's going to require more usually than that type of turnaround. I just think ownership has these expectations that
Fans, though, too.
Well, fans too. Yeah.
The reason why ownership has it, I think, is because now with social media and now with everything, you hear everything everybody thinks. Like
That's a great point.
back in the day, it was only like what this studio
Yeah.
decided to tell you,
Yeah.
what the newspaper decided to tell you. Now it's like everybody has a platform for an opinion.
For better or worse.
Now, we don't agree with that, but
Sure.
you do hear everything. So I think owners who own a company and a business, especially like Robert Kraft, who
Yeah.
has his stadium's not selling out.
Ooh.
He's like, why is my stadium not selling out? You go to immediately social media, you can see what every wicked awesome asshole thinks
Right.
in a matter of seconds.
Exactly.
I think that is heightened too. Owners being like, well, I can't have the perception of complacency or it's going to ruin our business, where it might have been the same in the past. Now it's like in their face
Absolutely.
all the time. I think that's a real deal.
That's a great point. And I will say that, when I realized that the most was this year with Pittsburgh. Like, Tom, the whole way, and you just felt it from Tom. Like, you felt the weight of him letting go of Matt Canada when he did. And whether you love Matt Canada or hate Matt Canada, think
Nobody was in that first one.
You know what I mean? Like,
No. Not a lot of love.
yeah, but if you're in that, you felt it for Tomlin. Like, he's like, man, my job is to get these guys to do their best job. And he felt, and I remember Dungy being like this. Like Dungy he ain't firing guys. Like this dude is going to go to he will not fire guys. Whether you think he should or not, I think it is becoming increasingly difficult to do that because of what you said.
How loud?
Dude, you heard it? Like
We were in Utah.
oh,
Yeah.
We were in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
That's very far away.
Yeah.
Very
Utah,
far.
I think known to be like genuinely
good people.
good.
Nice
Yeah.
Genuinely
Oh,
genuinely
good time.
good. And we opened the show, and all of a sudden it's like 400 people. Fire Canada! Is that the same?
Word.
Are they talking about Canada the country?
Yeah.
Are they talking about Matt Canada out
Yeah,
here?
no
It
way.
got loud, dude. It got very
That
loud.
is painful.
And I did appreciate that Tomlin basically said like he felt like a coward. Like
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like because when you fire somebody, you're pawning blame off
That's right.
on this particular person as opposed to me. I appreciated that angle from
Agreed.
Tomlin. I hadn't heard that from anybody. I don't think.
Or like the new owners too, with their coaches. Like we did the Tepper. He's on his 6th, including interim. It looks like Josh Harris now. He's their first year. They'll probably let go of Ron, and then you look at the Wollens. They did 1 year with Hackett out, and then they brought in Sean Payton. Like,
That's right.
no one wants
You
to
buy a
win.
team, you
Not-
wanna win.
Yeah, not just
No,
fans.
and also, you buy a team, you got a lot of cake,
Yes.
Yeah.
and there's no coach's salary cap. You know,
That's a thing of beauty.
that's why you did that 200 page.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
You and Joe on the same contract, right?
Because you might always make it 8 games. All right. You know what I mean? Like Frank's bank account ain't hurting.
No.
Whether you're from
Well, he's making that-
Indy or
They did the math. It's like $25,000 a day for the next like 8 years or
Yeah,
something.
yes.
70 years. Frank.
Through
Ryan.
2026,
No, but he
I
puts like
think.
80% of correction point.
Hey, congrats, Frank.
Yeah.
Smart man.
You did it. You did it. Tony's question
Yeah,
for you.
Coach, first and foremost, all I can do is stare at your hands because they are absolute bear paws. And it looks like you just punch trees all day long, so I don't want those on me. Just want to let you know. But you were there with Shaq Leonard last year. He
Yes.
was hurt, but you were there. You were in the building. You've heard. You know him.
Yeah.
Why do you think that didn't work out? Because they paid him. Normally, when you pay a guy that much, he's not a guy that gets cut in the middle of the season. And do you think he still has enough juice to help the Eagles here on a run to end the season?
No. Two things. I would say probably for the Colts is you have Zaire, who is balling, right, and playing well. Speed was balling, playing good. They already let go of Bobby last year, right, to go to the Giants, so they
Sure.
kind of knew. I think they had an idea of what they were going to get out of. And then you have Shaq, who's coming off the injury and wants to be the guy again, right? But you've seen other guys build and play to the level that they're playing to, and I think he's super competitive, being Shaq. He wants to be on the field all day. He doesn't want to get taken off.
Yeah.
And if you are taking it off and he's having issue with that, it makes it difficult for Gus to manage that, for the team to manage that, right? So it becomes is this really worth it? We have Z playing well, we got Speed playing well, we can move on from that. As far as what I think is,
Hey, he was injured last just like 4 weeks ago
yeah,
at stadium. Still injured last.
Big deal.
You know, when,
Really?
when the defense was coming out on the field.
really.
Place
Yeah.
went nuts.
And then they would like
Gotcha.
then they were taking him off on 3rd downs, taking him off on 4th. It was
Yeah.
weird. It was a weird
Yeah.
situation.
And you know he ain't coming off happy.
No,
Like,
no,
good ones come off happy, right? Like they come off, they piss and vinegar, right? They're like, don't take me off. That becomes a distraction. And I think from Shane's, but he's dealt with enough, right? Like at some point you got to go, hey man, we can find ways to win. This is what I do know about Shaq. Even when he was, injured and not playing, the dude from diagnosing football plays to understanding personnel formations, groupings, this dude is a savant, bro. Like when I tell you, he understands football from the defensive side as well as anybody I've been around. So he can diagnose it and see it and be able to help guys. So going to the Eagles, especially in their defense, physically, even if he's not there, helping guys understand where they can be, and then his link in the middle, man. I mean, the guy can pick it off. He can knock balls free. He has that kind of tenacious ability, and he loves ball.
Loves ball.
Loves ball. Like you talked about Minshew, like all he wants to do is play ball, bro.
So we got a chance to see him. He came to the game
Right after he got cut.
right after he got cut because he had a suite there. And it was Sunday, and he had a good time to hang out with the family, so he came to the game. And I got a chance to chat with him, and obviously Indianapolis is going to miss that dude. His energy, everything he did for the community.
Yeah.
You saw he was doing the turkey giveaway.
right after.
Literally the day he was kind of like, we're very appreciative to watch him play and everything he did. Felt like Gus Bradley's defense, though, just never was the right one for him, right?
Yeah.
And he was hurt when Gus Bradley's defense was kind of put into the Colts.
That's right.
So he's coming back. It's already kind of been built and established without him. Kind of a misfit is kind of how I thought it was. His style of play, too, not really.
And Z, man, like
Zaire's a dog.
Zaire.
Also, Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Yes,
nominee.
congrats to that.
Zaire.
Well deserved.
Hell
Right?
yeah,
Yeah,
Zaire.
dude is a stud. But other thing, man. Like our game, when guys get injured, unfortunately, other guys, and thank God it did, because that's how I got my start, right? Like when you get guys who've been basically a special teams guy, and he gets his ability to start, and he balls like he did. It makes it easier for a team to move on from a massive contract or a situation they don't want to get into because the guy behind them is playing at that level.
Not fair.
That's
to lose your
exactly, but that's our business.
But
Right?
it's reality. Speaking of not fair, but reality, the Jets have fired Tim Boyle.
Wow.
What?
Gone.
What?
Oh boy.
The Jets were losing quarterback Tim Boyle and signing veteran quarterback Brett Rippon off Seattle's practice squad per Justine Anderson. Rippon started a game this season for LA. Boyle started the last 2 games for the Jets. And obviously, not a lot of conversations have been had about the Jets, mostly because watching their game sucks so bad because they are so horrendous. Yeah, it is bad.
You doing this with that jersey over your shoulder is just.
Speaking of, Aaron Rodgers will be joining us in about 21 minutes live in this studio. We'll get his immediate reaction to Timmy B being let go and what else the future could look at in an exclusive sit-down interview.
Yep.
Right over there.
That's right.
I'm doing Barbara Walters over
I
here.
love it. I know it's gonna be hard hitting.
Oh, yeah.
I got notes. I got notes. Jeff, you played with Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah.
obviously. All the things are being said about him, I guess, before we started interviewing him and having conversations with him, were wild for us because he was just basically casted as a smug prick, mean guy, egotist. And then we get a chance to meet him and chat with him. It's like definitely unique.
Sure.
Definitely a hippie for sure. But like you're talking like football guy.
Yes.
Like
Oh, yeah.
old school football dude. And then when he comes to the Jets, it's like there was this big celebration and parade and everything. And it only lasted 4 plays. And now we're getting a chance to punt it for a year, is how everybody's viewing it. But the Jets fans are having to sit through this year, in which they're trying to run it back next year. What a time, what a story. And what are the possibilities you think with him and this Jets team, with how it's constructed right now, if he was to play next year?
Oh, bro. I mean, they would be Super Bowl contenders.
Even with that O-line?
Absolutely.
You think? Because
Let me
he
tell you
covers
something,
up that stuff.
Bro, listen, there are a handful of guys to ever be able to do it like he does. And when you talk about when Tom Brady walked into Tampa or when Peyton Manning went into Denver,
Stafford to
LA, right? Like these are different dudes, man. And look, if you don't think he's seen every blitz known to man, he's seen every coverage they're going to try to give him. He understands how to put his line in the best place to do it. Whatever that looks like, right? You never feel like you're out of a game when you have a quarterback like that. And when you got the defense they have, you have the run. Think about the running backs. How much better they'll be when you got that guy back there. No longer can dudes play 9 guys down and go, hey, throw it to beat me, right? You got Wilson. That's all we're worried about. Like, it's going to open the entirety of the offense up. He is a, I'll tell you this, the first time I was ever with Aaron, we were just warming up in QB Center Exchange, right? Before practice, you go out there. I've been with Peyton now 13 years, right? So I go to snap the ball. The first time I wear a shotgun, I snap the ball back, and I hear, and I said, bro, did you just gas that? Because it made a freaking hum past my ear, right? I was like, that hits me in the head, I'm going to die. I was like, bro, you just gas it? And he's like, no, man, I'm just warming up.
Come on, bro.
And I was like, good Lord. Like I'm just telling you, that the way that dude lets that thing go,
So
it's next level.
I think with what you just said and what we've all kind of realized, this entire team was built for Aaron to come in
100%.
here.
Yes.
And then whenever it gets ended on September 11th, 4 offensive plays into it. Then you got Zach Wilson trying to go in and do what Aaron's doing with a brand new offense, his West Coast offense, and Aaron's been in for actually 18 years,
Yeah, that's right.
where he knows the ins and outs of it. And then Tim Boyle goes in there. It's like kind of I don't want to say impossible task for these people, but this is what the team was built to do this year, and it did not happen.
It was 100% impossible. Like the whole idea that somebody else was going to come in. They were bad when they had him starting as a quarterback. That the offense was built around him. Like it's not going to all of a sudden be good with an offense that's not built for him, putting it back in. By the way, dudes were wearing somebody else's shirt last year, right? They're like Mike White. Yeah, you're like, holy crap! Now we're going to ask him to go back.
Hey, Zach Wilson's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
Listen,
Zach Wilson's a good boy.
Great.
He get possible. He's a pro. He get paid.
No, you're such a defensive guy, bro. You are such a defensive guy.
You got drafted 2 overall, so we know you got the skill set. Now you're sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. You got training camp. You got these meetings. And like you just saw, what did Jake Browning do last night?
Zach Wilson's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
Well, I don't know if Zach Wilson thinks the team around him is great. I don't know if he thinks.
That defense.
We have some
That's
news out of the game last night now. Coach Peterson has announced that Trevor Lawrence has a high ankle sprain. That is good because
Oh, that's big.
that son of a bitch turned sideways.
Yeah.
Yes.
That thing was sideways, and the look on his face and the punch of the ground, he obviously knew something was wrong. High ankle sprains a few weeks. Happy to hear that, Trevor.
Yeah, that's right.
Sucks. Sucks that it happened.
Could have been worse.
Happy to hear it's not like a
Right,
dislocated
plenty of
ankle
time.
or a fractured ankle or something like that. He can get back if the Jags can continue to do what they had been doing until they lose to Jake Brown.
Top division down there.
Hey, AFC South is a wagon.
Could have three. Could have three in the
With
playoff.
with the way people were popping off at the mouth
Thank you.
about the AFC
Thank you.
South.
That's right.
You guys don't know about the wagon.
You don't
now.
know about it?
You have no idea.
No idea. Three teams in.
Speaking of,
Fucking trash.
CJ Stroud will be joining us at 2:30 Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and ESPN Plus. Can't wait to talk to him. You said something about how what Houston was to versus what they are now, and the job that's been done. D'Amico, Coach of the Year, there
Absolutely.
Is that what's happening? And why do you think D'Amico's been able to turn it around?
Man, listen, I have no idea. Because if you can bottle whatever he's done, every owner in the league's buying it, bro. Like this dude has
Stingley, Will Anderson, CJ Stroud,
Good draft picks for sure.
Nico.
Stingley 1 year before.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
In the build, all their young guys
Nico
are.
Collins, Tank Dell, all draft picks are
Sheldon
performing well.
Rankins.
Tank probably not going to be lead blocker anymore going forward.
Yeah.
They
Bryce
also,
Howard.
they also have a left tackle who just is an absolute brick wall. Like
Who's that?
Larry
Tunsil.
Tunsil.
Oh, his cardio. We've known since draft night.
That's right.
That guy's lungs are better.
he can hold. He can hold for a while. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah.
I sent a text to Chuck Pagano when that video hit the internet, and I was like, listen, I've happened upon said gas mask that was on face of Laramie Tunsil in that video before, and I've seen others with same mask on their face that Laramie Tunsil. I've never seen anybody just go, yeah, that was all right. That guy's lungs.
What is wrong?
That's scouting. That's
He's
scouting.
putting him to one.
Yes.
Put him to one.
They're saying this might drop out of the first round. I'm like, excuse me. This dude is a super athlete.
Hall of
We
Famer.
need to take care of it. And he's gone on to prove it.
Yeah,
He's gone on to prove it. Maybe I should get into scouting. But what, other than just the players, what do you think D'Amico's messaging is, and why do you think they're all buying in so much?
Oh, first of all, I think he's as even keel as it gets as a person, right? Like playing against him, like he is a methodical. He's a prepped guy. Like he understands what it is, but he's not emotional about. You see him in the games, man. Like he's going to keep it even keel. This is what we got to do. And he went and got a guy in C.J. Stroud that feels a lot the same, right? Like when you watch him, you never think they're out of a game. And like I said this one on Get Up. Like most QBs their rookie year, you want to get them to the end of the fourth quarter, right? Like put all the pressure on them, make them see your coverage, make them see the disguise, make them figure this thing out. The dude does it every freaking week. It feels like he walks off the field with the lead somehow, right? And you, as you look at that as a rookie, it blows me away. And I will say this: Strausser, who used to be in Indy, is now the O-line coach for the Texans, has done a phenomenal. They not only can they throw it, they can run that thing too. They can tote the rock. So offensively, you're seeing those young guys produce, and then defensively, as a coordinator, I would tell you that D'Amico is probably one of the top 1 or 2 callers in the game when he was in San Fran, and that has just continued, right? Like, he doesn't put his defense in bad positions. Like, even late in the game, when Russell throws that interception last week, like, that play, it's insanity, right? That's chaos, and then the ball gets spinning out, doing all that kind of crap, and then the guy's right in the position. I think that's part of it.
What were you going to say?
Not only the draft picks, but even the signings, the guys that they bring over. That's obviously incredibly important. But Dalton Schultz, he's been a monster.
Yeah.
Terry, Stevie Nelson in corner, Jimmy Ward, who had that game-sealing pick. So, knowing obviously you got to give a shout out to D'Amico Ryans, but Nick Caserio,
Casario's done a great
who's
job.
obviously dealt. Went through three
That's what Tom said.
back-to-back head coaches. Still doing a
To
great
your
job.
point, I think I saw a tweet yesterday that their last 8 games or something like that have all been decided. This game-deciding play has all been within the last minute of the game.
Yes.
Like they are the cardiac kids, and they win those close games, which is D'Amico being so even.
And CJ. CJ being a
He's
guy.
killer. Yeah.
Is certainly something. More updates here from Ari Mirov of Doug Peterson's press conference. Doug Peterson doesn't believe that Trevor Lawrence will need the tightrope surgery procedure, which is the same procedure that Kenny Pickett had. And I think we learned about it from Tua.
Yeah.
Yes.
In
Is that
college.
how we all learned
Brock
about it?
Bowers had it this year
Oh,
too.
yeah, that's right.
Matt did it last year.
But it's been something very recent where it's some sort of surgery. I wish I was a doctor. We'll have Aaron Rodgers joining us.
True.
And 13, we'll ask him.
Yeah, he's a doctor.
But it's some surgery that they started doing, I assume, down there in Birmingham.
Yeah,
Birmingham.
James Andrews.
Andrews' thing. And it's like standard high ankle doesn't normally
back.
need a surgery. But then they said, but wait a minute, we can take this maybe 5 to 6 week thing, make it a 3 to 4 or 2 to 4 type thing. And they started doing it. I appreciate that we're trying to beat all these injuries. Him not needing it is good news. That's what that sounds like.
You would think so, because I mean, but like Kenny just got it done.
No, where's the card at?
Thank you.
Come
on. Thank you.
Come
Are you
on.
serious,
You know
bro?
what? It was terrible to see his franchise quarterback walking all the way to the locker room, but at the same time, it's a good sign. It was a good
Yeah,
sign.
true.
That is good. You stop searching it up, bro. You got a cop taking your franchise QB into the house,
it's
man.
weird.
That is crazy.
Big Dom over there.
Big Dom would have put him on his back.
Yeah.
By the way, Big Dom and the Niners, I do believe, probably had a phone call, a sit down.
Nice.
I think they're
If
all
I know
kind
Big
of.
Dom's
They all
called
families.
I think so. Kyle Shanahan came out and said that he's heard that Big Dom's a good guy.
I respect Big Dom.
Basically, he heard, okay, no problems, let's move along here.
If I know Big Dom and his culture, he brought some of his guys and he brought them and the 49ers guys and they sat down at a table and they discussed it. And they
Was there
hashed it out.
one light on over the
There was
top?
one,
Yeah.
it was one
Couple
light
cold
on. There
cuts
was
on
a
the
guy
table.
standing in the background.
Some
There was-
gabagool
Yeah,
around.
So there was some
Exactly.
gabagool, there was some caprese, there was some bruschetta.
Oh, yes, you can always for
Did you
fat
think it was
ass.
up and took care of it?
Yeah.
Greenlaw was right, bro. I don't care what anybody said. That's
All the players.
I'm telling you right now, dog. The Greenlaw, I'm with you. I ride with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, we agree. I agree, by the way. And I bet you Big Dom was like, well, probably should have got smacked in the mouth. But I didn't like that Greenlaw got kicked out for that.
No chance.
I didn't like the Big Dom got kicked
Exactly.
out.
Yeah.
You know, I
He got a
didn't
little
like it.
soft on
This
kicking people
football?
out.
Yeah.
Like no punt. I mean, like you touched his face or
You
he
moved
yelled
him.
at you.
You moved him.
We're kicking people
People
out.
call that a left hook on the internet.
That's what I'm saying.
One
Come
of
on.
those people.
Where are they from?
I mean, that's a quick
Where are they
catch.
punching us?
No, we know. We know where they're from, Jeff. We all do. Okay, we run into a lot of them in this
They're from the
business.
2000s.
Yeah,
That is
absolutely.
not. I liked it. I think, hey, listen, you got everybody energized. Play their ball. More fun.
Did you hear the Zach Wilson story?
Yeah, about him not wanting to play or doing the whole.
Yeah.
Undisclosed injury.
We don't know what's real and what isn't, though. Especially, because Zach Wilson's a good
He's a
boy.
good boy.
He's a good boy.
It seems like they got it
And
out
let
for
me hold on before let's say this, man, because I had Canty and I went at this about this morning.
Okay.
This is the Jets' fault. Like this is the Jets' fault 100%. If you brought Aaron in, like send that dude on, bro. You had dudes on his team wearing another man's jersey underneath their shirts, bro. And you gonna bring him in to be your savior after your guy
You
goes
drafted
down?
number 2 overall.
I don't care.
You can't give
Okay,
up on
so
the
They invested in the kid, Jeff.
Okay, they invest in the kid. Okay, how'd that work out for you? At some point, you go, okay, go get Joe Flacco. After you saw 2 weeks of it, 3 weeks, go get Joe Flacco.
Browns
Sign
just
him.
sent him back to the practice squad for God knows what reason.
What? They said we can't win with you?
Yeah, they just put him
guess.
back on the practice
That's
squad.
dangerous putting them down there.
Yeah,
How many teams have backup quarterbacks right now?
12 going on 13.
You go down the practice squad, you are available.
Yeah,
well,
You are available.
word on the street is Flacco said, "Hey, look, I've played basically just as good as Deshaun Watson. Give me $230 million guaranteed right now."
He's not wrong.
That's just what the word on the street is.
What if Flacco did walk right into the GM and the head coach and said, "You see what I did there?
time.
You saw that deep ball?
Yeah.
I think he needs to start for the Steelers on Thursday night. Let's get the whole AFC North division roundup for Flacco.
Okay, how would you feel if Flacco was a starting quarterback? You'd be more
It would be the
confident?
funniest thing that's ever happened in the NFL.
Yeah, but you'd be more confident?
I wouldn't say I'd be more confident. I wouldn't be less confident. On
He does not like Mitch. Jeff,
you don't like
Yeah.
Mitch.
Jeff,
I
we
love
North
Von
He
Carolina.
does.
Jeff.
He does.
North Carolina ties,
Yeah.
I get it. But this dude has said some terrible things about Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah.
I've never done
Had
that.
to delete a lot of tweets when the Steelers got
Yeah.
That's not true either.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
not
He
true
is.
either. All I said was, actually, I think it was a positive for Mitch because I said it's not much of a drop off from the starting quarterback for an NFL team.
That's
to
what
the
you said
backup.
today.
That's a
Today.
very backhanded
Yeah.
compliment.
Yeah.
With Kenny,
What? What do you? Oh, so you don't like Kenny?
Yeah, I don't have to like him. You don't have to like him, dog. I get paid not to like him. I feel all right. You know what I mean? But you're like, you're gonna take him back. That's a backhanded
They are
compliment.
both good guys. You could have a beer with both of them. I can promise you that. But I also think it's the Christmas season. Why not put the Rudolph in?
Hey, we have to talk about it before the hour ends. Before the hour ends, we have to talk about it. Connor wanted to bring it up since minute 1.
Yeah, well,
I can't wait to hear what this
yeah,
is.
and I didn't want to bring it up.
You did. You
Bring
did.
it.
I
Bring
had
it.
to. I have have to ask about it. And who cares now? The Colts
Yeah.
are 7-5. They're going to the playoffs.
And Pancakes is the best segment on TV.
There you
Yeah.
go. Sat them down. Love it.
So much better than in the trenches.
So guys, back to
That's respected.
last year. Okay, when you go into the locker room in Minnesota and you're up 33-0, you guys just eating orange slices. Just kind of like, hey, we did it.
I'll be deadly honest with you. We walked in, I was like, boys, we're in trouble.
No way. You sound like LeBron right now.
Listen, I went in. We didn't. I don't think we scored a point offensively. I'm dead serious. Like we got the ball down inside like the 15-yard line. I think twice and had to kick field goals.
Yeah.
We had a block I think for a touchdown. Like everything went our way, and I was still scared to death. I was like, man, we can't get a first down. Like we are. When I tell you we are. So we start out the second half, and I was like, we gotta push the gas right here. So we called a shot play, and it's freaking wide open, bro. And Matt doesn't throw it. And
Why? What's his deal? Did you ask him?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Still don't know.
Whatever it was, I was like, when he didn't do it, I said to Parks, we in trouble, my man. We are in trouble. So no, and here's the other thing. I will say this, the other thing, because I mean, and listen, if you can't laugh about it, right? Like I ain't crying about it. So it's like, we could not, like when they saw Jeff outside, Joseph Jefferson outside, and you saw them like, and just throwing the freaking back behind him, and this dude is jicky jacking and taking it to the house. And I was like, Gus, what coverage are we in? He's like, we've called them all. And we ain't stopping our soul right now. We're like, these dudes they are taking it to the house on us.
Carly Ursay's on the headset for all this, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. She was making record. No, I'm just kidding. We get down, and the only thing I had was, we're at 4th and inches. And I was like, they were like, we could try. And I asked Bubba, I was like, hey, what do you feel about the field goal? He's like, nah, man, we need to. So I was like, all right, we're going to go 4th and inches. We're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. So we go to get it, and Matt gets it, but gets it late. And so the referee's like, hey, man, the rule in the NFL is if his feet stop, the play is basically dead.
Yeah.
So when he got the ball, he kind of laid first and then started driving his feet. And the referee was like, that to me was it, right? Should we have tried a 57-yard or whatever? Maybe. You know, how do you do it? But at the end of the day, we had our shot. We just didn't do it.
It's all right. It's historic.
Yeah. Hey, it's history, bro. It's names in the book.
It's in Canton.
We're all in it.
It's in Canton. It's in
Yeah.
there. That was Jeff Saturday. What a legend.
Yeah, appreciate y'all, man.
Absolute legend. You crush it on TV. Very lucky to be a former teammate of yours. And keep going, Jeff. And just keep accepting any head coaching jobs.
We can have some fun with it.
That's not on you. That's on the teams. Hour 1 wrapping up here live from New York City on this Aaron Rodgers Tuesday, December 5th. I do believe the jet has landed.
Okay.
Should be a great hour. I hope you'll join us. We'll see you then. Take 3.
You'll never guess what we're doing to the Baconator. We're putting it
On the Baconator. Catherine, you seen this?
Posters everywhere.
What? The Baconator you love with the new pretzel twist. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new pretzel Baconator.
Today's challenge will be a frozen pizza basketball shooting relay. Zito and I will have to eat half a frozen pizza. Once we finish a half a frozen pizza, our teammate that'll be next, in my case, Nick, will have to make a layup, then a free throw using the same ball. Once he makes those, he will then pass the ball to Foxy, who will have to make an NBA 3 and then a half-court shot.
Boys, are we ready to get to our spots?
Zito and I are stumped.
Oh, there's a socialist. No, the social. Pat is off to an early lead. Pat is dominating Zito. Zito eating much slower. Zito's eating much slower than I thought he would.
I use scissors to cut yourself a bit of the fork.
Pat used scissors to cut the pizza because we do not own utensils in this offense. Zito is cramping up. There you go. Free throw now for Nick. He is still finishing his pizza. Foxy, you're on. Foxy from 3. There you go. Ray McAfee is off to quite a lead. Oh, he's down. Bailey hits the. He's going. Bailey at the free throw line. Is he choosing to Grady like he did? Let her go. Foxy the home run. Connor misses. Foxy barely misses. Oh, this is electric. Pat is now on to the second half of his pizza, and Connor cannot buy a bucket. You hate to see what's happening here. Oh, an air ball at this point. Has Connor ever shot a basketball before? Connor hits a three. He's now back to the half-court shot.
Here we go.
People will remember that in this same position, Connor went 0 for 12. 0 for 12 in basketball. He stacked it after the stack guy. That was his original plan. Are you regretting the stack decision? Joey Chestnut of Pizza Basketball Racing, Pat McAfee has finished. Nick layup. Inside layup from the doesn't care. The free throws. First free throw up, air ball. Not even close. Don't worry, Pizza has, or Z has like 6 pizzas left. I mean, this is the Billy the Factor. We did it up. Foxy from 3 and that bingo. Bingo. All Foxy games is it has to be. 5,000 to the comments of Showcase Team Pat.
The following program is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further.
Let's go! This show stinks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for. The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers, you pay. Be a friend, tell a friend something nice to change their life. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to beautiful New York City on this Aaron Rodgers Tuesday, December 5th, 2023. Hour 2 of the program starts now. Football happened in a big way last night. The Cincinnati Bengals with a backup quarterback. They went to Duval and beat the Jags when the Jags had their first Monday Night Football in 12 years. Jax Him DeVille, the mascot, showed up. The Jaguars fans showed up. And Jake Browning, backup quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, showed up in a big way. Congrats to them getting the dub. And Trevor Lawrence, high ankle sprain, should only be out a few weeks or so for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, we are very lucky to be in the Get Up set here on Pier 17 in the Seaport area of New York City. The Toxic Table is here at Boston Connor and at Ty Schmidt. One half of the Hammer Cowboys, Terry Diggs is here. 9-year NFL vet, host of Everything DB and the Man to Man podcast, Darius J. Butler is here. And now, boys, if you don't mind me.
Sure.
Let's take a trip to journalism time.
Oh.
In this particular studio, a lot of sports journalism takes place. Real stories are told. Hard-hitting questions are asked. The go of the sports goes as this particular studio goes. And joining me now for an exclusive sit-down interview is a 4-time NFL MVP, current quarterback of the New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron?
Trying to be Roy Firestone right now, or what?
Barbara Walters, mostly. That's the thought. Look how intimate this is.
Incredible.
Okay, we got a camera here, 2-shot. We got a 1-shot right here for when I'm asking my questions. I think that we'll be able to cut to. And
Whoa.
you have a 1-shot there. Let's get to the
Where's
main.
my one shot?
It's coming,
Got
dude.
it.
Oh! Aaron, when you speak, just act like that camera's not even on you.
Incredible one shot.
No, because you're talking to me. You know, you're talking to me. You're talking to me. You're not talking to the people. This
Got
is
it.
just us chatting.
Good.
I have to ask. There is a growing narrative across society even that you did not tear your Achilles. Here we are watching you walk your handsome ass into this studio, down Pier 17. On the sidelines, we see you moving. In the tunnel, we see you moving. And we see you throwing. When are we ever going to find out the truth about your fake torn Achilles?
That's how you want to start this whole thing out.
Journalism.
This show's losing its shit.
No!
We used
This
to make
is
it good.
journalism!
You know?
This is journalism!
One trip to New York, and this is where you go.
Whoa, this is your town! This is your town! Why do you think people think you didn't tear your Achilles, Mr. Rogers?
Well, I'm just trying to do something no one's ever done before. So when that happens, it can't possibly, in the collection of the impossible, ever be the reality. So, but I'm proud of people. You know, there was a time a few years ago where anybody who had any ideas outside the mainstream narrative and the normal thought process were called the C word. And I'm glad that there's some other people joining the ranks. You know, the people who are questioning things. Now, we know the history of the word conspiracy. And
That's the C word.
Conspiracy, conspiracy
Whoa,
theory.
journalism. Remember, we got the low camera shot.
We only got a one shot here for this one. Maybe I should talk directly to the camera, but I respect everybody's opinion about it. However misguided and wrong.
All right, let's talk about you being a conspiracy theorist lunatic. Just feet away here in this particular studio, I believe you were potentially called a murderer for not getting vaccinated a few years ago. Now we sit here, December 5th, 2023. How do you feel about how it all took place, and how is the body? Are you the most healthy you've ever been?
Yeah, I feel great. The body feels great. I will say I saw Stephen A in there, and he's been taking care of himself too. So shout out to Stephen A. Man.
Jacked right now.
He's been getting jocked, and some to that whole eating right, taking care of yourself, exercising, cold tub, sauna. Stephen A should maybe talk about that a little bit more. But as I sit here today, I feel like I'm definitely on the right side of history, and went through a lot of shit for an opinion that was my own, personal belief based on what was best for my body. And in an era of censorship and quelling free speech, I'm glad that I took the stand that I did, and welcoming more and more people to the side of freedom and free speech.
If your health plan is only managing employee health costs, you're leaving dollars and opportunity on the table. Our benefit strategies can help your business grow.
This is great. I can just directly go to my I actually like this movie. I can just go right to my one shot.
I was going to say, we just did real journalism there, and we even got
They're loving this, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
What else do you want to talk about?
Look at this staircase right here.
Who else can we piss off here?
Two gays. All right, how about this one? Zach Wilson, in your relationship with him. Very close, seemingly. Is that accurate?
I love Zach, yeah.
Did you talk to him about him saying, I don't want to play football here?
I will say this, when you have sources, right? And that's always an interesting, thing. And first of all, to have then you can go down a whole rabbit hole with actual sources, made-up sources. Why is someone willing to be a source? What are they gaining out of that? On and on and on. But when you use sources, and whether intentional or unintentional, try to assassinate someone's character like that report does for Zach, I have a real hard time with that.
Okay, so you're saying that was an effort to maybe make Zach look like a worse human than he potential people already view.
Yeah. I think that was, how can he not read it any other way? I mean, you're basically saying that this kid is quitting on the team and doesn't want to play and has given the middle finger to the organization. Now listen, I don't want to speak for him because he's going to get a chance this week to speak, and I'm going to let him speak. I'll tell you that I love the kid, and I've spent a lot of time with him, and I think he's an amazing young man, and he is young. He's in his early 20s, and I've had a blast spending time with him. He's gone through a lot of shit in the last 3 years, and he's got every right to be frustrated and disappointed about it. I think he's done a good job of standing up and taking accountability this year when it's been his part to do it. And I think that that if that's journalism now, if you're going to use sources and whoever that, I want to say the F word now.
Can't. We're doing journalism.
But whoever
Can't,
that,
right?
That fool.
That's one of the rules. What's one of the rules?
whoever that person is that thinks it's okay, number one, to talk to anybody like that, I don't understand what you get out of that, number one. But number two, what is your impetus? What is your motivation to try and bury someone like that? And that's a problem with the organization. You know, we need to get to the bottom of whatever this is coming from and put a stop to it privately, because there's no place in a winning culture where, and this is not the only time. There's been a bunch of other leaks.
Big
that
city,
have
a lot of
gotten out.
reporters,
I get it.
a lot of friends.
I get it. They're not your friends.
No,
They're
yeah,
not your friends.
yeah, friends.
They're not your friends. Even if they are, like, is that really what you want to be about? You want to be about using someone in the media to leak stuff to, in order for what? To get them to put your name out there for a job, or if you're a player, to get you a write-up, something. I think it's chicken shit at its core, and you know, I think it has no place in a winning organization to be a source on, especially not being assassinated somebody's character. And especially now when it's someone that I really love and care about, like Zach Wilson.
Obviously, it's not the only time this has ever happened in the history of sports and teams. Obviously, we've seen this happen before, which is why you're not only just speaking for this situation. We've seen it in the past. You got to nip it in the bud. Got to get that person out of your building, especially if they're trying to tear you down from within. Now, let's talk about that building, the New York Jets organization. We chatted about it with Jeff Saturday earlier. Now, Jeff,
Well, let me say this first.
Go ahead.
Just listen. I have had relationships with obviously a number of different media people over the years. You get to know them. They're in the locker room. There was Viva writers. You put your name on something, then you stand behind it. You know, like, I believe in this, and yes, it's okay.
you're
for you to say
immunized.
that. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. But,
I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
yeah, put your name behind it.
we
Like, I
agree.
have no problem with you. I honestly don't have a problem with anybody having a relationship with Diana Rossini or
Shefty,
yeah, any of those people.
Rappaport,
Right.
But when
Pelissero,
Right.
Schultz Report,
Right.
Ari Mirov,
Right.
Lombardo,
Right.
Lombardo.
yeah,
He hears some stuff.
but just put your name behind it.
So
That'd make things a lot better, actually. And then we'd have a conversation within the organization.
in the real world, okay, like the real news that do these actual interviews like this on a regular basis, we understand where anonymous sources might save somebody's life. Okay, so we're not talking about all
Oh,
media.
I'm not talking about that at all. Whistleblowers love it.
Boom,
Anonymous
gotta do what you gotta do.
100%.
Gotta do what you gotta do. That's the
Please.
real world. You're
Anytime
potentially
there's-
dying.
Anytime there's major corruption going on, if there's major corruption, we need the whistleblowers to have the protection to be able to speak up without getting harassed, fired, killed.
Yep. Something came out today.
Yeah, heard a lot of that. But like, we're not saying all anonymous sources are bad, but in sports, there's no death potential. So it's like, I think that is kind of the guys they stand behind. It's like, you got to protect anonymous sources. It's like, from saying Zach trying to kill Zach, why? You think Zach Wilson's family's going to kill him? Who's going to do that? We're talking sports specific. This isn't an all anonymous sources need to stop
No,
that conversation.
no, no.
Now, let's talk
Very
about
good point, by the way.
let's talk about the building in the Jets, building of the Jets.
Add to your Indiana Jones collection today.
It was
The actual structural building, or
it's a long one. We saw it hard knocks. You got to walk a long way.
Walk,
Mhm.
yeah.
Art Deco.
Yeah, Gothic.
18th century.
Yeah, gorgeous.
The Johnson and Johnson's built a good building.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with good money.
They do build a good building. So aside from the building being built great, which we all agree, heard the boys break it down. The Jets team itself, okay, we're watching how it's going this year. There's obviously a lot of questions about the offensive line, the protection, Hackett's play calling, the entire situation. From watching where you are, you think, hey, next year, this year, whenever you're back, you speak, you were doing journalism, so you give whatever you want to say. Whenever you play again, we have a chance to still do everything we dreamed of in the offseason whenever we were running into this miraculous year that it was supposed to be for the Jets?
I think so. Yeah. I think it's about the culture. Culture can win championships. Chemistry wins championships. So we obviously need to fine tune a couple things, just tighten a few things up. And I feel like there was some really amazing progress that I saw throughout OTAs and training camp, and that people got to see in Hard Knocks, the way that we cared about each other, the culture that was being created, the chemistry that was being created, and the practice habits as well. And when you win in, I was joking with one of my buddies in the locker room that day, when you win in, everything gets glossed over. And you know, and Jeff knows, and anybody who's played knows, it can be a blessing and a curse, because the little things aren't big things, you know, and a lot of things get kind of swept under the rug. What that can lead to sometimes is some habits starting to form over the years. But usually it takes a long time for that to happen. When you're losing, every little thing becomes a huge thing. The tiniest little thing, and the media is doing their job, and a lot of times that job is to divide and to get a quote and a comment that is going to draw people to it. When a lot of times it can also be very divisive. You know, there can be clips taken out of context, and the guy saying, "What did he say about this?" or "Who said that about what?" And just the littlest things can become, things that can really divide a locker room. So that's kind of what we've been dealing with. I think the last few weeks, especially after things were 4-3, looking like we were starting to turn a corner, and then obviously we've lost 5 in a row, and it's been a rough stretch. But these next 5 weeks will be fascinating, because as we're not mathematically out, it'll be interesting.
Oh, that's a big piece of information for you, from what I've been told, journalist.
I haven't got my single shot yet. I was going to make the Jim from The Office face.
Enough. You're making a mockery out of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Next 5 weeks.
It'll be interesting to see how guys respond, because we've had adversity. We've seen how guys deal with adversity. Who's going to finish the season as a professional? Who's going to do it, buy into this thing, and keep doing it together, and put good ball on tape, and take pride in their performance. Because I've been on a couple of teams where down the stretch it's been rough. In my first year in the league, we were 4-12, and my first year starting, we lost 5 out of 6 down the stretch, I believe, after we were 5-5. And so I've seen what it looks like at times when things are going not great, and it really reveals the character, in those adverse moments. So I'll be interested to see if guys stick together and we hold this thing together, because there'll be a lot of interesting decisions moving forward.
Well, I'll be interested to see it, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to sit
Can
down.
we go back over there and have fun now?
Yeah, we'll sit 2 minutes. Hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of this here? What do you think about this from Mike Green? Oh, you can't hear me.
Shit here.
Yeah. Speaking of,
Yeah, can you link back up? I got some Adidas on. I'm back in Adidas.
Whoa.
Yeah.
because remember he was wearing those moon shoes.
Yeah, Robert De Niro.
On those, the Robert De Niro's.
From The Irishman.
You were walking like that. Got a pretty good little stride right now.
12 weeks tomorrow.
What do you think of that?
It's unsigned, so it's kind of strange.
Oh, jeez, Greeny.
6 to midnight.
There was a
for
conversation
Greeny.
about that yesterday.
Oh,
Greeny was afraid to ask.
Yeah,
me.
Greeny was asking me if I should ask you or if he'll ask you. Didn't really know the ins and
Who's
outs.
got the most makeup on right now?
Nobody.
Nobody?
All declined.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Nice.
Do you?
No.
We're real shot.
Oh, you got makeup on.
Do I have a single shot here or not?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
2.
You need to stop with the single shots. All right, we're sick of this shit.
Been a pro.
Right,
Is
thank
that
you.
your watch?
Is that Zenith?
This is not the new one, but this is the Zenith, of course.
They're your people.
Thank you. Let me shout out Zenith. Can I shout out Uga a little bit too?
Who?
It's it's a Danish concept that means cherish the little things.
Oh yeah, you did this before. We did this thing before.
Yep.
Shout out.
What's it called? Huega?
Another shot right here.
What?
No.
You got 2. You got 2 over
3.
here. 3 now.
3
Okay.
is me.
Oh, you got two. A
I got
lot of single
three.
shots.
What's it called? Huga?
Uga.
What's that?
Uga.
Huga. Shout out to Huga. We're all about Huga. And speaking of, Connor has a question for you.
Yeah, Aaron, we are all about Huga, and there were some, how do I say this, WikiLeaks today, but not going to bring that up just
No,
because
I think you
maybe
should.
another time.
Yeah, there's some good ones out
Yeah,
there.
you mentioned the culture. When you come in, you're the most experienced guy by a lot in the Jets, especially when you're thinking about like playoffs. What did you add to the culture? Because obviously that was a huge thing for them in the previous years that maybe hadn't been established per se yet. And how do you see it now as opposed to when you first got there?
I think because of what I've accomplished and how I've been around, I think there's an instant clout that I come in with.
Yeah.
It allows me to
I'd
my
say.
voice to
A
carry
little bit.
Yeah, yeah, I'm thinking it does.
A couple MVPs.
my voice carries a little bit of a stronger tone, I think, from the start when you walk in there, and guys respect what I've done in the league, so I have a platform to kind of speak into certain things. I tried to in the beginning to just kind of be an observer, to be a consultant, to kind of take the experience I've had from 18 years in the great organization and see, what I liked about what we're doing, what maybe we can adjust a little bit, and where I fit in. How I can use my voice to get this thing steered in the direction that we want it to. I thought that there was a lot of leadership. I just think I didn't know when I got to the team, like who the guys were, who the leaders were. I think we have a lot of great leadership, especially on defense. To look at what C.J. Mosley has done his career and the way that he leads, and does it kind of like a Julius Peppers, who should be in the Hall of Fame. Just want to give him.
I put him in there. Put him in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
I could windmill dunk still.
Yeah.
If you had to.
But the thing that I think is interesting about both those guys is don't mess with those dudes. Like those dudes, the silent assassins, man.
Yeah.
Like JP never said a whole lot, but if you ever got into him, and we played him in Chicago one year, and the whole plan was the first 4 plays we're gonna chip him. We're gonna chip him outside, and we're gonna cut him, and then we're gonna send 2 guys at him. And we had this one play where we were in goal line personnel, in the minus 40, and the whole thing was we're gonna have a guy outside, and he's gonna come down and crack the shit out of JP, and we're gonna toss, right? So he was going to motion to whatever side he was on. So JP starts on this side. He sees the guy motion down. He runs to the other side. He motions the guy across. He comes down again. JP goes to the other side. Call timeout. And I was like, I went over. I said, why the hell are we pissing off the biggest baddest on the team now? And CJ's like that as well. Awesome leader. But I've seen a lot of guys grow and step up. Obviously, we're playing a few more young guys at this point in the season. Which has been fun to see their development. The offensive line has gone through a lot of turmoil. If you look at the 5 at the start of the season, Connor McGovern's out for the season. Elijah Tucker's out for the season. Mackay was starting at right, now at the left. We've had right tackle injuries. Joe Tittman's now in at center for us. The only guy that's kind of been standing through the whole thing at the same position is Laken Tomlinson, who's had a nice season for us. But it's tough when you have so much, so many moving pieces up front. Obviously, we've played 3 different quarterbacks now. And there's obviously more developments happening this week.
Yeah, Tim got fired. I don't like to say it, but it happened. Happened today.
But yeah, it's been a great learning experience.
Journalism.
I believe in the guys there. I believe in the men and women that work at the facility. I believe in the individuals in the position of leadership. I think that there's just like anywhere, there's a lot of reactions that happen at various times, and some may be influenced by fans and pundits, maybe a little more than I'm used to. But I think there's a great opportunity for us to stick together now and to just watch and see how it all plays out and how people respond to this adversity. And it's been a wild ride, and I look forward to taking back the reins pretty soon.
What'd you do on Sunday night?
Sunday night I had a party.
Oh,
What was it? I had a party in the city.
What was it?
For a birthday, yeah.
Okay, so now that you talked about it, I saw that there was a bunch of your Jets teammates at that party. A bunch of them.
You think? Or
Were you
not?
surprised?
What's that? I didn't see
You were a
it.
big hit at the party, though. You were big.
Oh, so that's where you were.
You went?
I thought we did okay.
What?
Honestly.
You were a big hit, more than anybody, and there were some interesting people there.
Well, buddy.
A lot of people wanted to meet Pat. Where's Pat? I said, the only freaking guy wearing no sleeves.
Well, Shane Gillis had a T-shirt
Right
on.
over there, stand over
Let's
there.
never forget that. Shane Gillis had a T-shirt on. I heard after we left there were some speeches given, and Shane Gillis did not give one.
This son of a
He's a
bitch.
professional speaker.
I heard AJ brought the house
I
down.
did hear AJ brought the hammer.
I don't think that's true.
He lied to us?
Where is he at, by the way?
He's in Ohio.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Is this the
No,
Slow.
so the setup.
slow,
You have no idea.
Yeah.
Nah, you probably
the
do.
slow
You
phase out? Yeah,
Could you? No way. Could never be without.
Hey, sir,
AJ.
we're going to actually move the set up
to New York City.
Yeah.
No, we're using a
Yeah.
truck that was driven here that is outside of this
Shout
particular
out
strip.
to all the men and women that make the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially here this month. I mean, there's a lot of people that had no idea what our show was who have had to work it the last 2 days, and we're very, very grateful
Do
and
you think they'll
thankful.
be excited to see
Us
the trucks-
gone?
Oh,
the trucks
yeah.
out
Oh,
here?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Should have seen him yesterday after the show. Like, Jesus Christ, thank God.
One more day.
Oh my God.
I actually heard
So
one of
is
them said,
Foxy getting fired too, or Zito?
no, they're all in a truck outside.
Oh, hey, all right, okay, you guys are still here.
But look at the setup,
Yeah.
though. It's not a real set.
You're
So,
getting tight, huh?
yeah, the amount of. Listen, Aaron, now's not the time for this. We just appreciate everybody.
Absolutely.
Love it, studio.
We appreciate it. Yesterday we couldn't hear a thing. Today they fixed it.
Pretty
Yeah,
good.
So it was incredible.
Pretty
I'm
good.
very, very
That's
thankful.
not real.
Come
What are
on!
we talking about? That's classic conspiracy
Full of
theorist.
shit.
That's a window.
Yeah, that's conspiracy theorists over here.
There's a boat.
Give me a break.
Right
Boom,
there.
two of
Double
them.
of them. Double of them.
Boom.
I'm glad you said it. I've been sitting on it for 48 hours. I wasn't allowed to say it. Thank you.
That's
They're
not
not
true.
real.
Yeah.
That's not.
That's
Nobody
not true.
told Tony he's
No,
not
it's
allowed to
not.
say that.
Who knew the Cody
Oh,
Cowboy and Rogers would team up?
Yeah, like that lady on the plane that said
That
that's real.
not
Well,
real.
she's being muted.
Yeah, well, actually,
Tiffany Gomez.
She's being muted.
I've seen her a lot.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
she's
she's-
going.
And by muted, I mean she's just saying like, "Oh yeah, I didn't really see it." Okay.
Yeah, I did hear a lot of people saying they probably cloned her in Antarctica, brought her back up, and that having her do this PR run.
Okay, so that's that C word he was talking about earlier, but who knows?
She's-
At this day,
she's-
Prove it wrong.
let's
she's
talk
a
about
lizard person.
the conspiracy of your birthday party.
Yeah,
Okay,
what about it?
no conspiracy here, unless people want to dive into it. A lot of Jets players there. Okay, you think about draft day with Kevin Costner.
Yes.
Remember that one
Yeah,
guy?
It's important.
Yeah.
They were going to
Yeah.
draft. Nobody was at his birthday party.
Right.
For you,
Russell
you
Wilson.
weren't here that long. You weren't here that long, and then you were gone for most of the season. Whenever you were talking about over there about the relationships and the culture being built, feels real still after coming back. Now that you're here full time, does it feel like exactly how it was at training camp with the boys, or what is it all like since you've come back with the
It's
team?
different. It's different. I'm not playing, so the whole vibe is different. I mean, I think that it's been frustrating for sure to not be out there, to watch us struggle at times, to know a lot of stuff that I'm about that we tried to build that just couldn't get kind of pushed into the standard practice and the just kind of the way we go about things, because it kind of goes into autopilot sometimes when you're doing the same thing over and over and over, and they're seeing me and how I go about my business. It becomes part of the routine. Without me here, just natural, things fall back to what they have been before. So it's good to be back around the guys, and I love spending time with
Cool
fellas.
group of dudes.
Yeah.
All the dudes I
very
met,
good.
cool group of dudes.
Sure.
Very talented. Garrett Wilson's hands too.
Yeah.
Large.
Yeah, big. He was there. I didn't want to give anything away. Brees Hall also
That's
there.
enough
He
for
looks so cool.
Nothing.
Hardy was there.
Nothing
Great.
sacred, huh?
And Kai was their biggest. There was a lot of
Okay,
humans.
He's a big human. Yeah.
Huge.
Did you give him a hug?
No, but I hear you hug his mother. It's very nice of you.
Yes, there you go.
You're a hero.
Thought you were a bad guy.
She's a nice lady. Yeah.
Tony has a question for you.
Yeah, I kind of want to expand on that since you haven't been there for a while. Is it different? Like, this is the gift giving season, and you normally give amazing gifts. So now that you haven't been there and you haven't been playing with the boys all season long, do you still give the gifts? Do you still give a gift if it was your first season? What's that like this year?
Hey, you're really putting me on.
Yeah, it better be a good one, right? It's got to be a good one.
I love Christmas.
I know you do. Why not?
It's like Thanksgiving. Love Thanksgiving.
Oh,
My birthday, get that out the way, and then Christmas and New Year's. It's a fun season, and I enjoy the gift giving part of it. And so we have some stuff
I
set
know
up.
you would.
Obviously for the line and the quarterbacks. The line usually does some, I guess, together, but we've always done a line and quarterbacks, so we have some planned for all of us to do a white elephant. And then, when it's first year, like the first year that Matt's staff came in, they weren't aware of kind of how I do Christmas, like
Oh, okay.
gifts for the QB room, because it's pretty extensive. And I didn't tell them just because it's almost sometimes more fun, like when you kind of shower people with gifts and then you do like a little puzzle or something. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
"Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's
Puzzle.
Yeah, okay.
But
Now
that
I learned
matters,
a lot
and I
about
love
it.
puzzles. I do. They're great. Yeah, fantastic. I like when other people do them for me, but not crossword though. I do those myself. And
Sure.
Thank you. What a hero. You're humble. Still humble.
Local, yeah, of course. But I do like going all out for Christmas. So
You crosswords. I'm sorry, word searches.
I know.
So those are Wheel of Fortune people. I'm a Wheel of Fortune guy. I'm doing the word searches. You're a Jeopardy guy. You're doing a crossword puzzle. Just two different options there. Sudoku, I think both parties dabble.
Really?
I think so. I think
Wow.
Sudoku's a unifier.
The 1 through 4 or the 1 through 6 as well?
I think the 6, isn't it the 6? 9?
Yeah, 9. Right? 3 by 3.
3 and 6 and 9. Or
Listen, don't let me just out
That's
academia you right now.
What's the
Don't let you think I am not the guy that you want to have out academia in you. You know what I mean?
What about Uno and checkers?
Yeah, I can play it on D-Butts Checker right now if you want.
So checkers and chess, I think, are the same thing.
Similar, yeah.
I think checkers, Wheel of Fortune,
Yep.
chess, Jeopardy people. And I think anytime you're making a decision, you need a Jeopardy person around and a Wheel of Fortune
Bingo.
person around. That is,
I agree.
I think those are two matter of facts. Speaking
You're
of
saying your Jeopardy people are not street smart,
boom,
and Wheel of Fortune people are not book
book.
smart.
Yeah, because a lot of those questions are like, name the character. Like, no, I watch Jeopardy. I watch every night that I can. I'm a Jeopardy fan, but I mean, if I get 2 right throughout the entire
Feel
night,
pretty
I'm
good.
jacked up.
Yes.
I am
I
jacked
think
up.
you should maybe do what Bill Murray does in Groundhog Day. You know, he's watched the
Memory,
same
yeah.
episodes and he memorized all of them, and just go to an old person's home
I'm a genius.
and just start laying these down.
Hey, guys, we'll watch Jeopardy together. Yeah, come on. Yeah, that'd be amazing. I'm a
11
genius.
a.m. That's
Our
big
Jeopardy,
time Jeopardy.
our Jeopardy guy.
Yeah.
Guy got accepted to Harvard, obviously tie.
Well,
Congrats,
I think Jeopardy would be better off if you were still hosting it. I don't know if that's still.
Whoa, you don't like Ken?
I love Ken Jennings. I do, but it's just not the same. And as a Jeopardy head from long
It's not the
ago,
same without Alex. Let's be honest.
that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Rest in peace.
Ken-
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Ken's
Sorry
great.
for your loss.
Rest in peace. That moment of silence, actually, for Alex Trebek. Boy, he hated Pat Sajak.
Rightfully so.
It was a good
Rest in peace, Alex.
so.
Rest in peace, Alex. You're the
Miss you, Alex.
I miss you, Alex.
Miss you, Alex. But anyway, so as we've talked to you this year, you've kind of said how you've reached out to Jordan Love after certain games, and for a good chunk of the season there it was, hey, he is the guy, and then it's, hey, he's not the guy. We still need to see him down the stretch, what he can do. Now it's kind of flipped back to he is the guy. And we've always talked about, like, accuracy is kind of the one thing where either you have it or you don't. Guys typically don't just, like, become more accurate in the NFL. Maybe that's not true, or to an extent it is. But have you been surprised with what he's done over the last couple weeks here? Kind of like, confirming that, hey, maybe the Packers do finally have this next guy after Aaron, and he is going to be the guy for the future?
No, I'm not. And he's playing especially the last 3 games, playing outstanding. But he's in his first year starting. Like, as well as he's playing, can we not crown him right now?
Yeah.
For his own sake,
Mm-hmm.
because we shouldn't do that
They
to
don't get
kids.
crowned.
We shouldn't crown them, and we shouldn't cancel them.
Darius just crowned him.
Yeah, I'm crowned.
Okay, go ahead. That's fine. I love Jordan. I think he's going to be a great player in the league for a long time.
Yeah.
But can we let him play his career?
Mm-hmm.
It's both sides too. People. A great example is Geno Smith. People just kicked him out of this town,
They wrote him off.
and then he went and was a backup for
right
6 years,
No.
and then he went to a Pro Bowl. And sometimes it's situation, sometimes it's change of scenery, sometimes it's figuring something out. I do believe you can get better at accuracy because you throw the football from the ground up. So you learn how to have great fundamentals. Everything else, when you sync those together, everything else can be better. So, am I surprised by the way Jordan's played? No. Am I happy for him? Hell yeah. I think there's, and there's some people that probably like this, but there's some people probably thinking that I was rooting against the Packers this year when against Jordan. Couldn't be farther from the truth. I'm not a bitter person about that. Like, obviously, I wish things had gotten different when I was in Green Bay, and there's things that I wish I had done better. But I have so much love for the organization. I have so many people I still talk to, every single week that work there. If I catch Jordan's game, I usually send him a message. I was at a birthday party, so I didn't see the game. But what was I doing?
I was gonna say,
Yeah, we were watching it.
I was asking you every few seconds,
Yeah.
how's Jordan doing? What's the score?
Yep.
Because I keep in touch with how they're doing. And I'm
I gotta go
cool for
talk to a super famous guy. Come back. What's
Yeah,
what's the score of the
yeah.
game?
So I'm not surprised at all. I also think for all these young kids that are playing, like, let's give them some time to develop. You crown somebody too early, the expectations of weight of that is tough to deal with. You bury somebody right away. But dealing with that type of negativity and pressure is hard for people to come back.
Yeah, but what are we supposed to say?
Well, it's sets like this Not
Everything counts out. Everything counts out.
We get upset.
I don't watch that, so I'll just withhold my comments.
Hey, Big
But-
Perk's on there. He's
Yeah,
worth a
it's good.
watch.
Yeah, spark it.
Big Perk is worth a watch. But I do appreciate the fact that you're like, hey, the pressure that is immediately anointed on these people. And, I mean,
It happens to top picks all the time, right? It
Yeah.
happens to number 1 picks and number 2 picks, and we have one in New York, in Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Number 2 pick that has gone through some tough times in 3 years, and people want to bury him in year 1, and they want to bury him in year 2, they want to bury him in year 3, and the burying part, there's some objective things number-wise you can look at. Although I think there's subjective lenses which we look at those and we miss out that there are some objective things that you either have or don't have at your disposal that can affect the way you play. But I do have a problem when there's character assassinations because you're making generalizations about people and who they are without actually really knowing them. And if somebody in the locker room came out and said something about him, I was willing to stand behind it. That's a different story. But if
he's
you're
actually
gonna
a good boy.
He is a good boy.
yeah, and he's dealt with a lot of shit that would crumble a lot of people. And I'm proud of him, and I'm looking forward to letting him speak. That's why I'm not trying to speak for him today. I know how I would.
You're
feel
going to
in
bat
certain
for him,
situations.
though, which is a big deal, I
Right,
think.
but
But I heard you're not supposed to do that. You're a prima
But
donna.
I'm excited about listening to hear what he has to say this week and rallying the guys and finishing the season out on a strong note. And then who knows what's going to happen for his career, but doing it the right way.
Piggybacking off of that, like, is there a time frame or a number of starts or a number of seasons starting where if the quarterback hasn't figured it out by then
We can say these guys suck.
or
because that's the cool
is
thing.
that,
One
like,
camera.
I agree with you. Like, one season is not enough. I don't, like, obviously the first season started. Probably 2 isn't enough either. But you obviously know much more.
I
Is
think,
there-
I think you're going to see flashes in the first year, for sure. And then with any quarterback, after you play 16 games, I mean 16 when I first got in, now you have a year of film that everybody can watch. So you can see, like, how can we attack this person? What did teams do? Did they pressure him? Did they play coverage? Was it a lot of 2-eye coverage, a lot of 1-eye coverage? What was the makeup of the team? Did they have a strong line? Were you worried about the run game? Did they have the number 1 back? Was he a Pro Bowl back? Where were the weapons at? They get to sort all that stuff out. And you have 3 teams in your division that play twice a year that really dive into those division games. So the second year is always, I think, you start to see, like,
Sophomore
okay,
slump is what they say.
which happens because why? You had no film on you. You had film from college. You're in a different
Ah.
scheme possibly, and
Oh.
maybe you're in a shotgun the entire time. Then you come to a team that's more 21 personnel. You're gonna be on the center, you're gonna be action stuff, And then for a player, think about, and I always say this: the rookie year is so freaking difficult because you literally go from a season, and I mean, kids don't play in bowl games anymore, but now you're training, right, for a couple months for the combine. And you go from the combine back to training, then then you get drafted, then you go to your team, and they're all off season, then you have a tiny little break, and you go right into training camp. And now you're playing more games you ever have in your career, and now it's the first off season. You go, take a breath. Okay, now what I got to work on? There's so much development that happens between years 1, years 2, and 3 in this league. It's a what have you done for me lately? It's a I have zero patience and zero attention span. So everything needs to be made. Decisions that you made in a quick time.
There's a boat behind
Yeah,
you, right through that window right
Hey,
there.
Did you feel more pressure on you to be good early, being that you
I
had a
did.
chance to
I
sit
was in the
behind
league.
Brett for a
Yeah.
couple years? Now it was your very similar love. You're 25 years old. He saw you win a couple of MVPs. Saw you do it behind the scenes. So do you think, obviously, you dealt with it personally, but is that a thing with you guys?
Yeah, as usual, DB. That's a great point.
And they do.
When you've been in league for like I was 3 years for J-Lo. I felt it. I'm sure he did too. The grace period for it is much shorter. Like you better show in year 1. It's year 4. So if you look at Jordan's career though, years 1 to 2, there was a big jump in development. Years 2 and 3, you see him in the preseason. Right. Oh, he's playing well, and he played I think 1 game in 2 in the second year. Right, and then
with the toe,
and then played
toe.
the third year.
Yeah.
He played against Philly.
Hey, real quick, let's go back. Why did he play that with that toe? Why did Jordan? What happened?
That
You
was
wanna go back
different.
over
I had COVID then.
Covid toe, I thought.
toe, yeah.
Tovid.
Toe, yeah.
No,
Do you want to go? Do we have to go over?
Yeah, go back.
We will go back.
Let's
over
go back.
if you want
Whenever
to.
you showed the toe to the camera.
Remember that was your shot. It was your actual Twitter profile photo.
They changed mine. I used to be 3, now I'm 2. I think.
Way to handle it. This guy's a pro, dude.
Not bad.
This guy's a pro.
Back to 3.
But you're saying development was very evident, you think, from watching him in different
And then,
stages.
as I did in 2007 when I played against Dallas on a Thursday night, Jordan came in against Philly when I got banged up and did some nice things. And the thing I'm going to say, which actually answers your question, and I apologize, my answer wasn't great. I got sidetracked, but the narrative in this league changes so quickly. And to watch the up and down, ridiculous roller coaster that I would watch you talk about on the show about the Packers and about Jordan, it's really a reminder for all of us players and coaches.
Watch your mouth right now.
Just
watch your mouth. You about to say
you gotta be able to block out
us?
the external noise.
No, let us in. We're good.
Please.
I'm not saying don't watch it. Of course you're gonna watch it, you're gonna see it. But,
Okay.
but can you deal with it?
Okay.
I don't think you should seclude yourself and not watch anything. But if you're reading
I'm on the
everything, you're reading all
background.
the comments, like it can really, for a person that's not super mentally tough, it's hard.
When did you get to that point, by the way? Because there was a lot of terrible things said about you a lot of the time. I mean, like from somebody that didn't live in Green Bay, just outside. The only time we heard about your name was just probably something bad or a comparison to somebody who's like considered one of the greatest of all time. So they're kind of putting you down. That was a large portion of your career, right? I mean, I don't want to like put words in your mouth,
Former
but
teammates too. You had a bunch of success with. Seeing
helped out, made them a lot of money,
Right.
and then they
That's
came in.
two
Well, right, but
But that's what we're referring to.
people.
How, did you just
At
have
least they
to?
went on the record.
yeah,
Yeah.
fair.
Hey, respect. Hey, way to go.
Put your face out there.
What is with that? But at what point did you get the mindset where like none of this is real? I can't listen to anything out there. Because that had to be tough, honestly. I genuinely, as a human, it had to be tough.
None of this is real.
Dude,
That's the whole thing.
it's not true.
That was 2 boats. Come on.
Yeah,
That's a real boat.
aside from the birds, whoa, easy, Tony.
Look at this. Look how cold this window. Whoa.
Jeez.
Man, don't fall in.
See the frost. Yeah. A heart.
It's the same boat going back. What's the loop time on this? Is
Wow,
it 15 minutes or what is it?
that's a GoPro with a window. That's a window. That's a window
Right there.
That's a window there.
Listen, I think dealing with negative comments, media, whatever it is all about identity. And if you find your identity in those comments, if you need to find a pump up from those things, then you're never going to get what you actually want. If you know who you are, I think it's important to be aware of it, so you know what's being said out there. But you can't find your happiness or identity in the comments from other people because none of these people, for the most part, I think you would ever ask their advice for something. Ask them their advice about something. So why would you give a shit about what their criticism of you?
Hell yeah.
True.
You're preaching there. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, so obviously.
Nice shirt, by the way.
Hey, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Going
kind of
through
phoned it in.
Wow.
Whoa.
Whoa.
You've had some better ones. You've had much better.
Absolutely, but you can't all hit home runs because they're all home runs, and how do you know when?
Big Mac did.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
1999.
I suppose.
Kyle Schwarber.
Schwarber, sure.
How about when Sammy Sosa was eating all his steroids?
Oh, yeah, him and McGuire, same summer.
Yeah, Marky Mark.
They,
Big time.
Barry
Good
Bonds.
baseball.
that was great
Would've been
baseball.
all.
Baseball.
They were going in his river. Yeah, baseball was going in his
Baseball's
river.
been struggling a little bit.
Yeah, let the boys juice. You've been saying it forever.
Let the boys juice.
Or maybe just whatever they're doing in Colorado, like juicing the balls up a little bit. Maybe they should.
Bad idea.
Yeah, make all the stadiums 5,000 feet.
Boom. Build a whole hill,
Yeah.
a mountain,
Hyperbaric stadiums.
Now we're
At
talking.
Yeah,
5,000
that
feet.
float.
home runs all the time.
Like on Pandora.
Zero gravity.
Yes. All right, we figured out baseball.
Baseball fixed.
You're welcome, Manfred. That's who the.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Bob
Bringing the
Ball.
spitballs back and the pine tar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
All
Steroids.
Mhm.
Hyperbaric
Sled
stadiums.
No suspensions for charging the mound.
No.
No, let the boys fight.
Let 'em
You
fight.
gotta run. You gotta run if you fight.
Yeah.
How about that?
You win the fight.
Oh, true. If you win.
Anyways, yeah, we're fixing baseball. I didn't know that's what we were gonna do.
Yeah.
Look at journalism.
How about that?
We're doing our journalism. Remember, commissioner of that league,
Yeah. Bob Manfred.
Yeah.
he said that they're playing for a piece of metal, right?
Yes.
Worthless
Piece of
piece of metal.
That's all.
That's what the commissioner called his own trophy, commissioner's trophy, which is what you win in the
He
MLB.
thinks highly of himself.
So that's a piece of metal. I like his humility.
Yeah,
actually.
kind of right.
Is he coming on the show?
Who?
Bob. Bob.
No, I think him and Raj will be the only commissioners that don't come on the program. Speaking of tomorrow, Adam Silver, commissioner of the NBA, will be joining us live.
You Adam ain't scared. Roger, are we still waiting for Roger?
We got the NHL commissioner coming on. He was so cool. Remember, he had his shirt open. He was at his desk. You know, Pat.
Bettman?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He came on.
Told a couple stories about, we're not against
Did you
fighting.
ask him why he's trying to get the fighting out of the league?
Yeah.
Actually.
Sure did.
Journalism. And he said, we're not, the staged fighting
Stage fighting.
is what we're trying to get out of the game.
Yeah.
The natural fighting is
Love it,
A-okay.
yeah.
The stage fighting, we don't need that. They could do that on Saturday nights in boxing.
Sure.
rings.
Yes.
Now we got the commissioner of the NBA coming on.
Come on.
I think the MLS commissioner wanted to
Okay.
come on.
SEC last week?
The SEC commissioner, Greg Sankey, was coming on. We're starting to become a commission show, except for one. Hey, Raj, don't be scared, Raj.
Nut up.
Come dance.
Come on, Raj.
The big boy
Time.
pants on.
Put your big boy pants on.
Yeah, that's right.
Get out there with the crowd.
It'll be good. It'll be good, Raj. It'll be good. This guy's doing all these errands. You see
Put
last
your
night? he did-
Gucci on, Raj.
That's
Come on,
right.
Raj.
Come on, Raj.
Get
What's he
your
wearing?
M&Ms.
He's making 50 a year. What's he making? What's
60,
he wearing?
60.
60. All right.
That might be one of the questions. I'm going to say he's worth it.
Yeah.
By the way,
It
Raj.
was-
And why is your basement so shitty still?
Yeah.
Well, that was not his actual basement.
Oh, it was a movie set?
Yeah.
Like,
Whoa.
No.
Stop.
Whoa.
Stop.
Don't
Okay.
you believe those commies from
Stop.
Russia?
Stop.
Don't you believe those commies from Russia?
Oh, I
was
thought you were talking about another thing.
what are you talking about?
Wait.
Talking about fake movie.
Oh,
You talking about the moon?
We're talking about space.
no, he's talking about Australia, the Hankses, when they were over there.
Oh, jeez.
No, I'm talking about that.
Oh, okay. That's
Let's
what I
get back to
thought.
sports.
Ah,
Google AI did come out, though.
Russia's Google it.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see.
I don't think that's it.
Again, the
Yeah.
people who got their asses beat in the space race are saying, yeah, they never went to the moon because they could.
Shocker.
How
Okay.
about that?
You're right. I agree.
How we went back?
Exactly.
Huh?
We went back.
Why would we
That
go
was a
back?
long
Why would we
time.
go
were
back?
like,
We went up there and it was rocks.
Got
We're
everything
going
we
back
needed.
to see more rocks.
Set our eyes on Mars.
What about the dark side of the moon?
Well, we don't talk about it.
Transformers over there?
Good album.
Yeah, we don't talk about the dark side.
It's a good album.
who's that?
Teapot.
Watch.
Teapot.
Teapot.
Teapot. Come on.
Watch it.
The dark side of the moon.
Pearl Jam? What is it?
Aaron.
Yeah, I should have
Oh,
knew that.
Well, it's not. It's not. It's not Pearl Jam.
All right. Is there anything that we haven't covered journalism-wise that you think you should have a take on ESPN?
Yeah.
His team is playing tonight.
Where's my camera at?
One camera.
5? 2.
5 is the Jib. That's been a great camera. Hey, you've been crushing it lately, Jib.
Yeah.
Everybody here's been crushing it.
Yeah, even that guy who's just crushing Pokemon on Nintendo Switch. Love that guy.
Yeah, but
Love that guy.
yeah, but when he was called upon,
Boom.
Put it that.
boom,
I gotta catch Pikachu, but I'm pausing for it.
he had the wire so quick. He was
Love it.
that actually. You know how like football players when they're not in, they're on that little bike on the side.
Yes.
They're staying active.
That's what he's doing.
That's what he's doing.
With his hands.
Staying active, staying active.
Practicing. Jack it up. He's going back and he's catching the Vulpix. You know? Easy.